Here we are.
We are back.
Back.
Back again.
Again. Welcome back, fellow travelers. The Vagabonds are back. We had an issue with our transponder. It's a little more expensive than cable back on Earth, but we make a deal. We make deals. That's what we do.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
fine.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, we are stuck in space right now.
We have
out
a
here.
new deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we can provide all the media content that you are looking for, searching for, and in dire need of.
Most of you, beautiful beings out there, you're really obsessed with our pop culture because you believe it might actually give some insight as to why we are the way we are. I certainly hope you're not judging us for that, but you've met us, some of you out there. Talking to you, Gary. How's it going, man?
He's a great guy.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. Shout out.
He's the best.
Shout out, Gary. But yeah, so after some issues, we're back, and we have decided that we are going to do a new segment here for the Vagabonds. Is that now that we can stream all sorts of pop culture, insanity, craziness that you guys have been asking for, we are going to host our very first screening series. And do you guys want to let them know what the film is?
Oh, boy, do I.
It is the Phantom Menace.
George Lucas's epic
Return after
to
some
form.
time away, revitalizing the Star Wars series to a new generation.
Yeah, it was, what was it, 30 years?
In the making?
Yeah.
83 to 99.
So, I meant from the first.
So
yeah.
the first was 77.
77. So,
So
yeah.
20.
So it was like, what, 19 years?
22 years.
Yeah.
From Return of the Jedi, it was 19 years, right? Well, a lot of you don't know. We were there for when it opened, and needless to say, mixed results. There's some people who were really into it, kiddos. I think we may have been one of the few kiddos that really weren't into it at all. Or we were a little bit. We were just bamboozled by everything that was happening to us all at once.
It had some good moments.
It's got its moments.
I was into it more then than I am now, that's for sure, because I wanted to be into it because it was flipping Star Wars, man.
Hell yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we hadn't had a Star Wars in a while, so yeah.
I remember watching the original trilogy on those VHS tapes, and it was epic. So anytime I heard new Star Wars, it was like, yes, I want another one.
And I'm still that way.
I want more, please.
Give me another one.
I want all the Wars of the Stars.
All the Wars of the Stars. Well, what had happened was the reason that we're bringing up this new signature series and choosing Star Wars Episode 1 as our first film is because apparently there's a sequel trilogy that they made back on Earth, which, okay. That's awesome. So while in preparation and, unfortunately we don't have the rights to stream those films or even talk about them yet, even from outer space. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the ones that have been cleared by the folks at Disney. You know them best as the people of, or the corporation of Gondark Nirik. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's the Earth equivalent.
Space is a cruel mistress filled with many different corporations and entities, and we're dealing with a lot of them legally and
a lot of red tape
illegally.
up here in space, which I didn't think was possible. I think there might be more red tape than dark matter here in space.
There's a lot of red tape.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Orange tape, too. Weird.
Maybe that's a beautiful thing. And that's the one thing that's universal is
Red
bureaucracy and
Yes,
copyrights.
there'll always be red tape.
As we've known from Star Wars, there's always bureaucracy.
Oh,
I think there's three
sweets.
constants: death, taxes, and red tape.
mm-hmm.
And they're all related.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just hope Disney doesn't ever decide to build their own, like, SpaceX. Right, guys? No, that'd be bad.
Yeah, they got the money.
No, that
Maybe they could come rescue us from this.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're I wouldn't say it's the situation's dire, but we could use some help.
Yeah, I miss pizza.
Yeah, I mean there is an equivalent here, but
it's not as good.
It's more cardboardy.
pizza shouldn't move. I'll leave it at that.
Gotten used to it though.
I don't know. I mean, seasoned well. I mean, you could do worse. I mean, you could go to Papa John's for crying out loud. I mean, that was bad even before we left. But
Whoa.
so yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, here we go. So right now, from everybody, from the cleric belt to all those fine folks over there on Questular 99. I'm sorry, 98. Rest in peace, everyone on 99.
Yeah, that was tragic.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's
too soon.
sensitive. Too soon.
Too soon.
Okay, so now we're going to showcase to you episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
So, as Justin pointed out, when we're talking about this, we're going to talk about some of the things that we like, some of the things that we don't like, and what changes we would make to make this a better movie-going experience with episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as we love Star Wars, and I think we all do to some degree, a little bit of a mess, but it's a lovable mess. So what we're doing now, because none of you out here have seen it, we're giving it to you right now. What we're going to do, and it's been a while since the three of us have seen it. So I mean, we're all sort of coming at it with fresh eyes, however many you got, and so.
Some may have more than others.
Some may have more than others, most certainly. So yeah, we're coming about it with fresh eyes for the first time. So we love to hear from you guys as to how you feel about it. And without further ado, The Phantom Menace. We'll see how this goes. There's nothing like the crawl, man.
It is, I think, the best opening of any movie series.
I think
it comes right at you.
Every movie should have this.
Really?
Every movie.
Honestly, like
I need a 3-paragraph setup for what's happening in the opening scene. It
Saving
helps me
Private
not
Ryan
be
with a
confused.
crawl?
It sets the scene as to what am I going to be
I don't
experiencing.
understand why movies don't have it.
And I love every time it starts in space.
every
time.
Wow, that looks like some sort of blockade.
Oh Lord.
Who are those guys in the cloaks there?
Mm-hmm. They just took showers.
Yeah.
They're glowing like me.
Yeah.
I'm snapping at the dog, and if anybody can hear her, she's whining because she's not allowed in here while we're filming.
Attention is
She's
always
also
attention.
stuck up here in space with us.
Yeah, and the hours for all of the dog parks up here are a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the prices are outrageous, by the way.
And
that's
they
why
don't
we don't pay.
They don't
Yeah.
even give you bags to, like, pick up the poop.
Unreasonable.
I mean, the little Nebics, they eat the poop because apparently it helps in their digestive and reproductive cycle. So, I mean,
So these two
every bit helps.
Figures here. He's
robe-wearing dudes are some shady-looking guys.
I was going to say, yeah,
trying to conceal something. I don't know what it is.
we'd like to sell you a Brooks Brother franchise.
These guys are, like, supposed to be peacekeepers in the galaxy, and they're really kind of shady-looking. Like, I don't know if I'd trust them either.
I don't
Very
know.
incognito.
Yeah.
What exactly are they hiding under those robes?
Flashers.
The living force. I love that. It's like you got the light side, the dark side, then you have the living force, which I would say for the D&D people out there is more of like the druidic side. You know.
Yes. This is clearly a...
How did the droid know that they were Jedi Knights?
Maybe that's part of its protocol?
Well, they were waiting for them to come.
True.
So, I mean, protocol dictates
Yeah, true. Yeah.
that you know.
I guess the New Republic send them as emissaries.
Yes. Yeah, they're trying to negotiate this trade blockade. As riveting as this opening sequence is, got a couple of dudes just trying to,
I think
do some negotiation type stuff.
George needs to expand his friend circle because his representation of the Japanese with the Nemoidians is concerning.
Rough.
It's
That would have been a
concerning.
perfect opportunity for
Is
a
this
spit
another
take.
Jedi here on the holographic screen here?
Oh, he doesn't talk like one.
No,
Would you like 3 months of showtime?
I can increase your warranty on your car for a small fee. Would you like to extend that?
How did you know I got a car?
I will make it legal.
It's a lease, sir.
I am the warranty.
Fine. I will destroy you then.
We still get robocalls up here, by the way.
See,
Insane.
they should have extended the warranty. That's what happens when you don't.
When the warranty expires,
Whoa! Look at that.
take that shit seriously.
Lightsabers. That's awesome.
Dioxin. As we all know, Jedi can hold their breath for who knows how long, I guess.
They get powers when they need them.
So, I don't know. We're not going to sit here and watch the entire movie.
No. What I was
but
thinking
But
is
we
that,
do
like,
need to.
But this sets the scene as to
This sets the scene and the tone for
Yeah.
this entire film. Because we're 10 minutes into this thing, and now we're finally getting our first action scene.
So we established who's the bad people and who's the good people, essentially.
Yeah.
and who are the caricatures of a race on our planet.
Who's who?
The Nemoidians are definitely supposed to be Japanese.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Between their accents and the fact that they're like a tech company, George was like super on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah. He exposes certain
They're like Foxconn.
stereotypes, I think would be
Yeah.
the best way to put it.
Oh Lord, I forgot so much.
Will it?
Will it? Will it though?
I mean, and already in this movie we've established like different rules than what was in the original trilogy, especially with like lightsabers and even like force powers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole lightsaber melting the door. I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, "Whoa, that's really cool."
Yeah.
You can do that
Yeah.
with a lightsaber?
And then here we go. Here's another little nugget of force power that we never see again after this.
Yeah. Oh, the running away super fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
Get in my 10,000 steps in today.
They pulled a Sonic on that one.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
My Fitbit, it isn't charged. None of these steps will count. And I ran them so quickly.
So we've also established that there is a heck ton of CG in this movie right away.
Oh,
Yeah.
a whole bunch.
Oops.
I think this is a good point to stop,
Yeah.
because we get to the first point as to certain changes we would make. You know,
Mm-hmm.
why Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are splitting up at this point
Literally makes no sense at all.
doesn't do a whole lot for, you know, fluidity for the next, you know, sequences. coming up.
100% chance he'll get caught. Like their odds are not good if they separate and go into different ships. And I mean, I know they're supposed to not be generals, but I'd imagine that there's strategy 101 at the Jedi Temple where it's like, okay, guys, now we're going to go to 36C. Don't go into separate ships when you find yourselves in an invasion blockade hangar.
Right, because how do you know where those ships are going to go? They could go on completely opposite
No
sides
idea.
of the planet. Like,
And there's only two of them.
That-
Like I can understand if you had, you know, more of a posse and you wanted
Yeah.
to, but there's only two.
The buddy
Yeah.
system can work at that point.
Yeah.
If you had like 20 Jedi, not bad.
yeah, that makes sense.
Not bad.
So, this whole opening sequence, I don't know. I'm trying to think how I would do it if we were going to do it again. I think
Well, we definitely, this is like the science fiction equivalent to Ambien.
Yeah.
the beginning of this movie. Honestly, I mean, it should start with. I mean, definitely going to steal something from what I remember correctly happening in Revenge of the Sith. It should have been that we see essentially the negotiations happening, and the reason that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are there is because they know that the whole thing is a ruse. Like, it's discovered that it's like, okay, these negotiations really aren't negotiations. There's something more nefarious going on. Through their intelligence, they figure out that this is all a sham, and so they're going there to rescue the ambassador and find out any information he knows. So we have a very tense conversation. Then all of a sudden it hits the fan, and then we have basically them being like, what is going on? We hear an explosion of some kind, or something happens, or we see essentially like the Jedi being super stealth and being very, very much the kind of tacticians that you would imagine an order like theirs would be after 1,000 years. And so then at that point,
that's when you see the invasion army.
yes,
They come flooding into I believe Theed is the capital of Naboo, if I remember.
it is.
Yes, it is.
And so
Wow, good.
you see
Good memory.
the invasion force come in and they have to flee. And so that's when we transition into the them interacting with some of the other local inhabitants of Naboo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a much smoother transition, I think.
Yes, because you can establish very early on that this is an imposing force. They're on this planet for reasons we don't know yet. We think it's just some sort of economic dispute, whatever. I think case in point, we need George to like not write this. Get another writer.
Well,
Like imagine if like I was gonna say Quentin Tarantino, but then it'd be the bloodiest Star Wars movie.
well, that's no, see, that's where I was gonna go
But,
with it. I'm not gonna make it bloody, but I want this like opening sequence to be like, okay, you get a couple minutes of them like talking, like, oh, we gotta negotiate this stuff, and then all of a sudden, like these droids come in and they gotta fight their way off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up being like a huge action sequence. I mean, we get a little bit of it, and they're trying to get on the bridge, but it's like, no, I want them to fight to get off the ship, because this is like this droid army. They should have sensors to know where these Jedi are. They shouldn't be able to like just
exactly.
like go through the ducts and be like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
we're gonna hide aboard some. No, I want them
Yeah.
to fight all these droids to get off the ship. I want them to steal a ship, and then maybe it gets damaged as they're leaving, and then they crash
Yeah.
together, and then they could have the whole stuff on the planet happen. However, but that way you get like this broader action kind of like, it throws you like right in the middle.
But not only
and you
that,
get-
make it a little more grittier.
Yes.
It seems a lot of
Yes.
the action and it goes throughout most of the movie. It's seems very, very superficial. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're making a good attempt at action here, but let's have some slight consequences of some actions here.
Well, I think a lot of that is a product of the heavy use of CG with stuff too. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
you don't
And-
get any of that like up
right,
close
and
and
this
personal.
is essentially like the first like big film that went CG heavy.
Yeah, I mean, when you had hardly any sets and everything's blue and green screen, it's like it's hard to get that like visceral action and like up close, like personal kind of touches, because it's all fake, like
Yeah.
all of it.
No, exactly. And and I think Star Wars, we needed to see like, I mean, I love the gritty universe of 77, the original trilogy. Like that's beautiful. Like you could have a nice blend of both. You can have some sophistication, like a Naboo. Naboo is essentially like an Italian resort.
Yep.
And so it can look like that. That's fine. But what would be wonderful is like some of the places, like not just Tatooine that looks dungy and even Watto's shop looks too clean.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, and
What's happening here?
that's the problem, and that's a thing like that we learned when I was in college when we were doing computer animation and design. It's like when stuff's super clean, like it doesn't look real, and even if you can put more clutter and stuff, but that still, if things aren't like, they need blemishes, they need to be. And that's the thing, is they try, like stuff is like, you can tell that they've got like these dirty textures and stuff to it, but it's just the atmosphere of everything around it. Like I just don't know if there's not enough layers to it.
Yeah.
Like if you add in, and this is just like completely going off like visual effects realm, but if you add in like some more like different lighting, like God particles, like just a little bit of fog, some dust in the air,
Ooh.
stuff like that. Like stuff
Yeah,
that you
yeah, yeah.
layer in on top of it, so it's not just straight like everything CG, like without putting any of that like environmental stuff in there.
Yeah.
You can tell, and it doesn't look right. Like it's just
No,
it's off enough where it's not like, I don't want to say like an uncanny valley thing, because you could probably take any of these things individually, render it out, and it was like, oh man, that looks super cool. But then for some reason when you throw it all together, it's just the atmosphere is just not really there.
Mm-hmm.
And you want some realism. We understand that this isn't a galaxy that may or may not exist.
Yeah.
And you want something that feels sci-fi, but you also want to make it feel like it feels real too.
Exactly.
The dog, I swear.
The dog.
The dog.
She just wants her part.
Absolutely.
So
want some airtime for sure.
should we we'll continue on?
Do we want to just kind of do a little and do a little scrub through the.
Yeah, we want to do a little fast forward here. Probably.
Yeah, we can get through. We've got.
See,
we
they
can do
do a little bit for the negotiation thing, but it's just the Naboo representatives.
Yes, exactly.
And they're essentially the Trade Federation's like, well, we're here.
This stuff right here. This is so like different than any other Star Wars we had. Like this is stuff that like these people are meaningless to me. Like I have no like
emotional attachment
to these people. I have no idea what's
They
going
serve
on.
no story function.
Right? No, I mean it's just
serves,
dialogue. Like
here
I
we
mean,
go. We're invading now.
We get introduced to
sign the
Queen
deal or get invaded. That's where we're at. And so this is when they escape, and here comes
all the droid army. These are like the most boring screenshots.
Here we get to the other inhabitants of Naboo.
So yeah, we'll play this just for a second, so we can get and this again right here. This is like almost an example of what I was just talking about with the whole atmosphere thing. Like, I know at the time, this is 99, this is good CG for the time, but it wouldn't have been that hard to just add a couple more layers of something in here, like just some fog or something.
Yeah.
Just
But
because
all
Jar Jar,
that like dust buildup because the ship's just landed. Like,
yeah, I mean Jar Jar completely
that
sticks
should be
out.
Filthy.
yeah.
Like he sticks out like a sore thumb. Again, really good CG for the time, and
Really happy that Ewan kicked the heroin from Trainspotting and became a Jedi.
Yeah.
he turned his life around.
He turned everything around.
Yeah.
Go Ewan.
And I mean, as much as I love physics and sometimes throwing them out of the window is okay, this just really gets me right here when Jar Jar jumps in the water. I mean, I guess it's for the kids. It's something funny.
It's definitely for
Like,
the kids.
"Wee, look at this. Oh, yeah.
I'm fine with if you want to make Jar Jar's comedic relief, but can he speak a little more proper?
Mind you, this whole right here, like, look where the tree line is in the background. Well, this lake isn't really that big, but now when you go underneath here, it's like, holy crap! There's a whole city in this tiny little lake.
And you don't see anything from the surface level.
These. I would
But
say
yet the water's so clear at this point, but on the surface it looks like murky and foggy. Like
the only not dated effects in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Are these shots and then the fish chase. The only non-dated.
Yeah,
CGI
those look good. Those hold up.
That holds up really well.
It does. This looks good.
And this here is fine because this is a controlled environment, so you don't need any extra,
And I think there are
layering and stuff.
I want to say there are some miniatures that they built for this, and I think anything.
Not many, but yes.
I think anything that looks
like that looks great.
Yeah, except for the choppy playback, but I think a lot of the stuff that they used in these scenes, like the city, and I want to say I remember watching the special features on this, or they did have some miniatures made for these things, and that's again why some stuff looks a lot better than other stuff.
And part of it was they storyboarded the crap out of this part.
So now that we're at this part, we could probably go into exactly where the story should progress at this point. Like if you're going to fix this, because like I said, I think we can agree that episode 1 is a wasted opportunity. it's that film that's like, just tweak a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you got a decent, really good Star Wars movie. And I think one of those things is like we have like a James Bond beginning. Like our beginning to this movie is a James Bond beginning.
Yes.
Where you understand that the negotiator is important. There's a blockade that's important. We're still not sure what's going on yet. And then once we realize that the negotiations have taken a turn, even have the negotiator put up a fight, for crying out loud.
Right.
He tries to fight his way out, and then
maybe
he's like,
he dies.
Yeah, I was gonna have
Consequence of actions.
Right.
Make it a little more grittier.
Yeah.
Granted, you don't have to make it look all bloody and gory, but
Yeah,
let's have some consequences here.
He dies before they get him off the ship. They get to
Yep.
him, like, and it could be that, like, if you want, and this is what's funny is that the gas that they put in that's the most James Bond anything.
Oh, very.
Oh, yeah,
Very
like,
James
in the
Bond.
whole movie.
60s Bond.
You can keep that and really build up that tension to where
Yeah.
once he realizes that the negotiations are over, where it's like, okay, and I think the ambassador's starting to learn exactly what it is the Federation's
And
doing.
maybe-
there. It's
maybe
like, this is not a
And maybe
domestic
the
dispute.
negotiator is the one that tells the Jedi, like, "Hey, you need to go to the Queen now." Like,
Yes,
yeah, like,
exactly.
Have
What
him
if-
be the and he has like a data pad or something that shows like her itinerary or so they know like where she is, and maybe it shows like what happens in a case of emergency.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
emergency protocol. What is the emergency protocol if something were to happen? Like where do they take the important people so they know where to go?
And I'm jumping ahead here a little bit. But what if the ambassador, what if the information he learned from his intelligence, why he's on there, and he just basically, during the negotiation, you could definitely tell it's a fishing expedition too? And what if it's that he discovers that, and we're bringing in the separatists and everything super early. We're setting this up in this film. And they realize that an insurrection within the galaxy is happening. And the Trade Federation, through economics,
Yeah, is a front.
is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
front. And
Yeah.
so this invasion army, you see these troopers, but you also see members of the separatist army. And so when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are looking around going like, oh boy, this just definitely took a turn here. Yeah, we definitely need to get down, talk to the Queen, get off the planet. That has to be our goal, because we need to talk to the Jedi Order. This is definitely not an economic dispute.
No, there's something nefarious is happening
Yeah,
here. We need
something
to
more
figure it out.
sinister is going
Yeah.
on
Something
that we need to get to the bottom
Some
of.
Yes.
sort of Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And so we get to the Gungans.
Yes, and then all that happened. Which, oh wait, should we continue on from when they like?
I had one little bit I wanted to add to that. So
Yeah.
this ambassador, our ambassador in our news story, needs to be somebody that like we can relate to, that's somewhat important. So why not make them a Jedi? So we've got
Oh, a liaison.
we've got a liaison. We've got a
Okay.
Jedi liaison, and throughout, they kill him, like, because then we find out that like, okay, the Jedi aren't all powerful, like
Right.
they
No, yeah.
can, like, he gets overrun by droids or something, like fighting him off, blah blah blah, dies, and
It's
now
an interesting dynamic. because
Obi-Wan and
Yeah.
Qui-Gon are like, oh crap, like they took out a Jedi, like there is some really bad stuff happening
because
right now.
because they make mention of it a little bit in the original trilogy, but definitely in the prequel trilogy, that the Jedi in the Senate or the government, aren't very very like chummy,
Yeah,
and so having like a Jedi political liaison would change you kind of change that dynamic
Yes.
there, and maybe that incident right there is what causes this tension between the Jedi and the Old Republic.
it could be that one of the things that the Jedi want to institute is that, like, look, everybody from every world has representation. Our order doesn't. There's a lot of things that are happening. A lot of people who are upset. We're being used far more than we ever have in our entire history since the Jedi won and we beat the Sith back.
Right.
So we want to have a representative of our own. He's an ambassador on other worlds where if he can solve this conflict before you guys have to call us, that would be great.
Right.
And of course, we'll take his recommendations. We'll hear exactly what he has to say. Anything that he thinks we should do, we'll listen. And our ambassador, after the intelligence that later on in the movie they end up discovering for themselves, what he finds out is that, like, oh no, there's an army that is being there's a separatist movement, and there's a conflict that's being manufactured. What those reasons are, we have no idea. But it's going to be the reasons, obviously, in 2 and 3. But we're setting it up right away because that's one of the things that this trilogy, if I remember
shouldn't
correctly,
be a slow burn.
Shouldn't be a slow burn because then you can really have really nice character moments. And when we watch Attack of the Clones, it's been a while since I've watched it, but the one thing that I do remember. Moving on.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother bag. So
next episode.
Next episode.
Yes.
So the dioxin gas is released. He gets, and then really build up that tension. Have the Nemoidian, I don't remember their names, but have him.
Steve and Larry.
Steve and Larry. So Larry, murderer.
Yeah.
So basically, as he leaves, we just see like vents shutting, windows, anything that could have any sort of like reprieve from the gas is being shut, and the ambassador knows what's up. It's like, okay, looks like I'm not getting out of this. And then he exits, and then we see, after we see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon doing their stealth thing, doing like, because we need to see them as tacticians, like using like weapons that are specifically like tailor-made for Jedi that aren't lightsabers. Like they have their own tech. They use some of the tech that's, I guess they would have their own tech because there's no army at this point. There's no Republic army. So it would be their own tech, and we get to see exactly like what they do when they're not lightsabers out, just, kicking butt. And then big splashy sequence where they sense the presence of the ambassador, and they like, okay, I know where he is. And so we just see them guns blazing, just doing cool Jedi stuff. Lead up to the ambassador. They get the door open. They put the things to breathe underwater.
Yeah, to try to.
Yeah, which again, they have that apparatus. They have these tools. Like I just mentioned that they should have all these things. They do. So like,
yeah.
Why didn't they use those?
More often? Yeah.
I mean, going back to the actual movie, why didn't they use those? Because they clearly have them on them
on their
when they get down to the planet.
Right.
They're like,
we don't need these breathing apparatuses.
So they put those on. They go in there. They grab the ambassador.
What did they just find them in the
have-
ground just before they got to the lake?
Yes.
Oh, look! Wow,
cool.
And so as they're
neato, gang.
neato, look at these things. Aren't they nifty? And so they get him out. It's a mad dash. We cut to the Trade Federation being like, we only thought the ambassador was going to show up, and we had a plan for him. Apparently they were ready for this, and then that's when we get to contact Lord Sidious.
Yeah.
And then they let Lord Sidious knows what's going on, and he's like, I was not made aware that legit Jedi were going to show up to this thing. And so like now he's unnerved, and he's like, okay, I'm going to find out what's going on. You guys continue on with what we've talked about.
Yep.
Nothing is delayed.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. They get into more scrapes, some cool fighting, and then here's what we can establish in episode 1 with these two that they didn't do in this movie, really. And they didn't do with Anakin and Obi-Wan at all. Have those classic adventure moments where when you know how in the elevator when they're like, oh, remember when I saved you, Obi-Wan? That was a really fun story.
Yeah.
They've got way more stories. Their stories are cooler than their actual like events in the movies.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see some of those moments. Let's see a moment where like they talk about it later, or it's a moment that when we see it, it's like, oh my God, that's something that when they're old, they're going to talk about this. Like, hey, remember when we did that? So they do that, and then
if
they
they're
get
not both dead.
If they're not both dead, yeah. We get to the hangar. The ambassador basically gives them the message that you guys were saying, where it's, this is far worse. Like, this is far worse than, he's like, go here, go here. He's like, because he's already got the layout of the ship. He's like, go here, go here. And then through means of Jedi-ness and cleverness, they end up in the hangar where they're looking around. And he was like, this is the problem. Like, you need to relay this to the council. But in order to be able to do that first, you got to go to the Queen Naboo. She's our biggest supporter. This has to happen. And then,
well, but it makes the accusation legitimate.
Exactly.
You need full scale proof and witnesses to back that up.
There's gravitas.
And then I want to see them actually sneak on a ship and how they do 'that rather than just because they'd have to use some kind of like Jedi stuff to do that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean, just like a little 10, 15 second little like them sneaking past some droids to get on the ship.
Maybe use a distraction of some kind.
I was gonna say have a ship like what I was thinking is having like they basically put a detonator, like a series of detonators on a series of ships, and so like as they're waiting, they're like 3, 2, 1, and then like just as they're entering the planet orbit, just boom, 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 and then them going, whoa, and then just all hands on deck, and then
great.
during that chaos, they emptying through one of the ships.
That's when they make down.
No, I'm still just saying they just they hijack a ship and
or
distraction, and then they're just like, well, let's take the ship.
Oh yeah.
And as they're flying away, shot and they crash, and there's so
they have a distraction, and when they hijack a ship, you can have that be one of Obi-Wan's skill sets too, is that he's very technologically savvy, and so he basically they go in there and they hotwire a ship, and then like you can have your funny moment, a legitimate funny moment where like it's like, okay, well now the ship's in our command, we aren't going to go to this side of the forest, we're going to go here, closest to the castle, it's the closest to the palace, where we're not going to get killed, because if we land in the center, people are going to be like, what is happening?
They're like, hey, what's that?
Why is that ship landing?
Shoot it.
We don't have authorization to land here.
So it's hacked, and then as Obi-Wan's flying it, and Qui-Gon's like, that's my apprentice, that's my boy. You can have the droid control ship going, none of this is computing. Like, why is this not working?
I don't understand.
Error.
The stick is faulty.
Okay, so I think we're
yelling
good.
at a mechanic, and then when they land, and then we're here. So what do we do about
Jar Jar?
Jar Jar? That's where we're at now.
I don't mind the Gungans as a whole as being a part of this movie because they're a big part of the military.
No, but they need to be
force
represented better.
They
than
need to be grittier.
The doofus that is Jar Jar.
If you want to make them as a native species, and you're setting the Native American trope,
yes, which is what's
make them more that way. If you want, underwater, fine. I'm A-okay with it, but don't make them sound like they're essentially retarded when they speak.
And not like in the derogatory sense of the word, like literally like something wrong with them.
Right, right. Because they sound like they're less than intelligent species, but make it more as to common or English, however you want to phrase it, as their second language. They have their own language, but when they speak in common, it's a little more broken or whatever. Don't make them sound like
because clearly they have technology and they're advanced enough to have all this stuff. So they don't need to come off as this like doofus race.
So when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon land, you get to see like a hunting party.
I was literally just going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, because they have those like things that they're walking on. Like it could have been
they're more of like guerrilla tactics. Guerrilla warfare style. And so they set a trap. They're able to make their escape. But they realize that this army is way too much for just they themselves. But hey, we found these Jedi. Maybe they can help.
Yes,
somewhere down the road here.
So how different of a movie would have this been if the one thing we changed is made Jar Jar like a badass warrior instead of like a bumbling idiot? Because the bumbling idiot stuff kind of gets laughs for kids, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I would have loved it if Jar. Yeah,
he can have some. If you want him to have some clumsy moments, fine. But don't make him like. I just fell.
I think I bit my tongue.
Misa stepped in poo-poo or whatever he does.
Like, I'm a clown. I'm a jester. Like we don't need that.
No. It completely takes you out of the story with those moments.
Absolutely.
I think. And I think if he would have just
doesn't
been
fit. It doesn't fit in with the tone of what the movie's trying to show.
Not at all. And it would have been like, and there we go. That's how we can transition. Like as soon as like they don't try to attack every single Federation ship and trooper. It's once they cross that point of no return, that's when it's like, okay, we got to get them out. Let's send a message. And so when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are trying to, they escape their ships, and immediately the moment they're out of the ship, the Trade Fighter, like the droids are like, and then so as soon as they fly out of that ship, sabers up. They're trying, and again, there's thousands of them there, so they're trying to fight their way. So we get cool scenes. They're using force pushback. They're trying hard as they can. They get shot a little bit. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you see the blue energy balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were blue, right?
Yeah.
And then just pew, and then you just see like he said, guerrilla warfare, where it's you can barely keep track of it.
Yeah, because I mean they're like right on the cusp of the forest, and so they're fighting from the forest, so they can't see who are these new attackers, like who are these people, and so you don't see them until eventually there's a essentially they find an opening, to where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon can get into the forest, a little more cover, a little more protection, and then you get the scene as to boom, here are the Gungans.
We establish right away that the Gungans now they don't just have a pretty place to live, and they know their stuff, they know the area, they defend themselves with intensity, veracity. Like they don't mess around and so that means that the battle at the end of the movie, like exactly how hardcore these dudes are,
right?
And when the stakes are this high now it's like, oh man, like what are they going to do now?
They're going to be going all out.
They're
Yeah.
going to go all and go nuts. And then so like as the Jedi are trying to fight their way out, and then the Gungans are trying to help them. Then you have the guy that's Jar Jar that shows up is like, follow me. He's like, we're going this way, because as soon as they recognize the Jedi, like you said, it's a like, oh, there's an ace, and there's a couple of aces. We need a pair of aces that in the hole. And he's like, follow me. And then that's when we see Tarpals, who is pissed. He's mad, and the reason is because they have a very and instead of having Jar Jar being a bubbling idiot, you can establish right away that he's very pious and very good. But it's the shades of gray. It's the ambiguity.
Keep talking.
Must be done this way and that way. It's like, this is the only thing I've accustomed to. And then you can go to his background as to like how he grew up and whatnot. But he's also very, very funny in an awkward way. Like, and he doesn't have to be that way, but just like some sort of character aside from like, oh, me stepping doo doo.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, and so Jar Jar and Tarpals, we see how BA the Gungans are, how awesome those two are.
Yep.
And then we see Jar Jar. They get them out, and then they get over there. They have their conversation where it's like, well, we don't totally hit pay dirt with you guys being here. And then that's when he's like, well, we have to go to the main city. And then we establish those two going, ooh, we don't have anything to do with them.
We're not really besties, by the way.
Like, we can't let you get through this forest. You can stay here, or you can go back where you came from. But we're not going to let you through. You're not through our borders, and we're the only safe place around here right now. And so it's like, okay, so that's when the negotiation skills come in. It's like, okay, well then fine. Like, take us who we need to talk to make this happen. And they're like, okay, if you insist. And then we meet the Gungans.
Yep.
And that can be as simple as, it doesn't have to be a whole like Jar Jar's exiled thing. They're just like, hey, you know what? We got this guy Jar Jar, and he's a pretty cool dude. He can take you guys to the other side of the planet by going through the the waters, the deep dark waters.
You could have it too because of his like nobility factor. Like Boss Nass is like, it's like, look, and of course they show the Jedi respect. It's like, because everywhere they show, it's like,
yeah. There's a universal respect. Even the Gungans, for as not really surface dwellers, they know through myth,
they've heard
legend, they understand what a Jedi is.
These Jedis are no joke.
Yeah,
and so they show them a little bit of respect. But then when the Jedis are like, we need to go see Queen Amidala, we need to go to the Naboo city, and they're like, that ain't it, Chief. Like, we're not we're not letting that happen. And so that's when we tell them, it's like, look, there are bigger things happening. They like conversation going away, but the tone of it is that there are bigger things happening. It's going to affect you too, eventually. Establish that early on.
Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Bad things are going to happen to you if you do nothing.
This is, and through our intelligence, share the intelligence. Be like, through what we know, this is a quarter of the invasion force of Naboo, and then have everyone kind of go like, oh God, this is only a quarter of the, really make it very clear that this is no joke. And so that's when they're like, okay, look, we'll let you through the border, but only within one of ours. If the fate of this planet is going to be decided, no offense, but one of ours needs to be a part of it.
We want to say in it too.
We want to say in it.
And this scene would have made a whole lot more sense if Jar Jar was smart and he was the one driving this thing through the planet. Like,
thank you.
Like, how does Obi-Wan know where they're going? Like,
I was a kid and I asked the same question.
Right.
I'm like, how does Obi-Wan know the Force?
The Force will guide us.
Do they have underwater GPS? I don't know. But it would make a whole lot more sense if Jar Jar was like doing the one navigating this thing.
Then passes out
instead of complaining the whole time.
Yes, exactly. And then going, "Who's a booga? Oh, bigger fish, fishy." Yeah. So then all of a sudden, Tarpals is like, and of course he goes. We see their relationship. I object, as we all know.
Yes.
It's not that he doesn't follow orders. It's that improvising on the field or whatever or whatever his issues are. It's like he has these issues. It's gonna be a problem. So you can send him, and he can be our representative. But like, just know he represents all of. And then we hear Jar Jar speak his piece, and then Qui-Gon essentially have a nice push in on Qui-Gon, being like, "Something about this Jar Jar dude."
Yeah.
Okay. He was like, Jar Jar, and Jar Jar's fine. It was like, we'd be honored to have him with us. And Tarples and everyone are like,
"Are you sure?" Okay.
Fine.
Not our first choice.
Yes. Then they get underwater. You can have that sequence go as is. That's fine. I think that's a fine sequence if you do our changes.
Right. With Jar Jar driving and not being dumb.
Jar Jar driving. Have him use the Force inside, like maybe like bring in like Obi-Wan does something and it brings in like sort of like a coral reef, like a side of a cliff that like comes down, stabs through one of the creatures. Or like maybe like a school of fish. He like basically like, oh sorry, he knows enough of the vegetation that's there. Or like he's like tell me about where we are, Jar Jar. And then Jar Jar explains where they are, and he was like, that's that. He's like, this is really not a great time, but that's this, and he's like, oh, and he was like, okay, I know enough about that. Obi-Wan uses the Force like a school of fish, like blinds the big fish. Like you get really inventive with that sequence.
Yeah,
too.
you get the whole like, or even Qui-Gon with maybe
there
they've got like
definitely
the
could be
Force sensitivity with the animals,
imagination or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you can do there's always a bigger fish line, but it has to be like not like there's always a big. It should be like after they're
There's
done.
always a bigger fish.
And again, have the ship spark. Like have it to where like build that tension up. Like
Absolutely.
they're almost gonna die. And when they say like the planet core, they build this whole thing up, and it's literally just like a Sunday drive.
Yeah, there's no core. It's just like a cave through the planet.
It's just
like,
a cave.
It's
And so like ratchet that tension up so that when they make it, the big fish is gone. Like the big fish tastes the other big fish, and then they're kind of ragged. They got sparks all over them that burn, and then all of a sudden, like Jar Jar's like, "Okay, well, that was interesting."
Yeah.
And then you can
Here we are.
set it up. There's always a bigger fish, and like have like a nervous laugh, like, "Yeah, I suppose so."
how much cooler would it be? Okay, so we're gonna jump ahead to like right now. They get up to the planet, and they're out, and they're like, okay, we're gonna find the queen. Oh crap, she's surrounded by droids. Now how cool would it have been if like Jar Jar was actually like a valid part of this fight?
Yes.
Like Jar Jar's a warrior. Like he gets down there and he's got some weapons and he's doing some cool stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
like little gadgets and
instead of just
maybe a couple of those blue little grenade things.
Yeah, or he's got some sort of like
Ooh.
like bolos or like slingshot or just a club. I don't know, something. Give him a stick. Like
you bringing that up, actually, that could be Jar Jar's greatest sin, is that everyone's like Gungan pride, Gungan this, blah 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 blah. But then he's like, you know what? We should probably grow up and actually like have a relationship with the Naboo, because this is a symbiotic relationship. We share one planet, and that's why they don't want him to go, because they're like, he's going to make us weak. He's going to do this and that. And then when he does it, the first thing he does when the Jedi jump down, Jar Jar should beeline immediately towards the Queen and be on her defense because they're not the Gungans and the Naboo don't get along. They're like
how cool would that be?
Like, oh, okay. Like, this must be serious. If the Gungans are trying to help us out, this must be serious.
Yeah.
But coming to the point that I made earlier, when they make it up to the surface and they, cross that crevice and see that patrol coming, they know that, that where they're being taken because of that data pad that they got acquired earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, like they've got some knowledge of why this is happening. They don't just happen upon them while they're like
oh,
walking
here
across
we go.
the courtyard.
How do we know that they were going to be there?
Right, we know the city's big. Like, how did they just find them? And, here the Jedi are going to do some more Jedi stuff.
We also need a scene, too, like a little bit back a ways. We don't have to go back to it. But the scene where, like, we get it could only mean one thing, invasion, that really boring sitting area.
Yeah.
What it should have been is it should have been a member of the Jedi Temple. It could be Kiandi Mundi. Bring him in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But a member of the Jedi Temple and a member of the Senate being like, okay, this is peculiar. Like, and let them know, like, 2 Jedis, they're going there. We don't know what's going on with the ambassador. And basically, like, and shoot it really dynamic and have it to where they're all throwing theories and you can feel the tension raised up in the air.
Yeah.
And Amidala being the one that's just on it. And she's like, no, I know exactly what this is about. Or at least I think I have an idea of what it's about. And it's about her being the deciding vote of the creation of a clone army. Because the Separatists, they're attacking at random, but...
Right.
No, they're not attacking at random. Palpatine is orchestrating this whole thing, and she's like, something about this isn't right. The fact that they're using this economics things as a dispute, that's clearly, and have Padme, for the love of God, in one scene you can establish that yes, she's royal and regal, but she's not dumb. She knows what's going on, and she's like, look, those forces that came in, this is not technology that they have. Look at these weapons that they're using. And then you can have her general being like, exactly, because he's taught her all about this stuff, and be like, this is separatist tech. Like, this is tech from this place, and we know exactly that they're not friendly with us, and we know that they have their issues. So clearly, there's a collaboration of something going on. Like, this clearly has to be explored.
Right.
Have it to where, like, Naboo knows the stakes of what's going on.
I'm just trying to see
and then
our first intro to R2.
I love the intro to R2, but this scene needs to ratchet it up a notch in terms of the action. Because I feel look at this.
Disconnected.
No tension.
Yeah.
We're sitting ducks.
It's
as
all
I
these
lazily
internal
rest my
shots
arm.
and this one external shot of R2 on the outside. Like, we don't know what's happening right now. Like,
you know what would have been awesome in that hangar? If, like, Padme makes it very clear. She goes, I love you guys. You're loyal. Me getting to Coruscant is number one priority. It's the only way this whole thing is going to be over.
Right.
I need whoever is going to essentially sacrifice their lives in order to be able to make sure our ship gets through this blockade. Like, you're needed. And so you have these people step up, and then you have a big action sequence where you see, like, big ships, little ships. It's like and then that's why, and it raises the stakes at the end during the final fight, because we know that the Nubian army has been battered just trying to get her off the planet.
Right.
So
well,
that's
the
why they need
weirdest
the
thing to me.
Gungans
It's
too.
like just this one ship
Have
flying up there.
a little skirmish go on.
This is it's Star Wars, not like
Right.
That's the most Star Trek Star Wars has ever been.
Yeah.
There's one ship just being like, oh, we're sitting ducks, lean.
And the only shots, the only external shots that we had right there are like close-up shots of this ship.
There's a little
the,
shaking.
like-
that must be
Yes.
blaster
Like,
fire.
I want like big epic sprawling like space is easier to render than
Yes.
like all this other
Absolutely.
stuff they're doing. Why not just have a? It doesn't have to be like super crazy, but just like a little bit more would have been nice.
Like, imagine if, like, instead of going directly to the blockade of the planet, because it's a planet,
And
you can go
and
anywhere.
it's showing that Naboo is paying the price for this invasion. They're losing people. It's not like
Yes.
It's not just essentially they're saying people are dying. We don't see people dying, but
No.
if you show that people have died,
Yes.
there's more validity to what Padme says later on.
Yeah, like show like
Exactly.
the planet
When
being
she's
like
talking to
bombarded,
Palpatine. Yeah.
or like
could-
innocent some like civilians or something getting like accidentally blown up in like crossfire, something to like.
I was gonna say later on when, like, the planet is under, like, complete control and Maul's on the planet.
Yeah.
You could have it to where, like, this is how you introduce Darth Maul on the planet. The very last of whatever resistance that the Nubians could concoct, we just see Maul completely lay them to waste, and you see people around them who are beaten and they're broken, and he basically, like, there could be a speech, doesn't have to be, but basically the message is clear: this planet is ours. You're done. This is what will happen if you stand up and do something. And then you see the Nubians who they've tried and they're going to fall in line, and then now the interrogations start. And so now you have people who are plucked out of, like you said, like, those scenes are what needed to be shown.
Yeah, because Maul doesn't actually do anything else besides fight Qui-Gon that first time, and then like we don't
Dual
actually
face.
see like how
That's it.
we don't actually see like the full potential of like a Sith Lord, like how they should react. Like they're he should be in there like mowing people down with his lightsabers, and we're like holy crap, this dude's bad. Like
when he
really
says,
bad.
I'm going to bring my apprentice, I'm sending my apprentice Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Show exactly why he did.
Right.
Yeah.
Have him, like, basically, like, force pull a ship into another, like, a cruiser into another cruiser, and just mow that, like, so you see he's walking death.
Yeah.
He is walking, talking death, and this planet had no chance.
Right. He's not just some cool looking dude with a double-bladed lightsaber.
And have that be the thing that, here we go, the Jedi are on the planet. The first time, you have, first of all, rule of threes, George. Come on. So you have the fight at the end with them, the fight in the desert. The first fight could have been Maul, like the quickness of speed getting to that planet. Being like, okay, where are the Jedis? Like, he's like basically trying to like learn from what he can from the commandos. He's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And so as he's going through, that's why Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like, we need to get out of here because, and like you can have a moment where they feel the Force and like they look at each other and they're just kind of like, we gotta go right now.
Yeah.
Something dark and heavy just landed on this planet and we gotta go. And so have it to where like the first near miss is we see Padme seeing these resistances being snuffed out. We see people who are getting pulled off or interrogated. Like have a sequence where they sneak her out stealthily to get to the ship, and she's seeing her people getting slaughtered, and that gives her actual motivation to be like, this has to be done, like right now.
Yeah, that's a big I think a big lack of motivation for a lot of this.
Yeah.
This first part of the movie. Well, a lot of the whole movie, but
and now that you've established Padme smart, then you get to show another
Oh,
side
and
of Padme
so-
of her like interacting with R2 and
Right.
being like really sweet,
Now-
but then
Yeah.
having that edge. Like,
have we established now, us as an audience, I think we know at this point that like the Queen Amidala and Padme are the same person and like the other
Yes.
person's a decoy. I mean,
Yes.
that's pretty logical for us to figure out. Which again, I'm not sure that was necessary
they shouldn't
for
have
the
revealed
story,
it until the
but,
very
like,
part until the part they actually reveal it.
right with
It
the
would have
Gungans where
given
yeah,
it more power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They
Right.
should have had Padme essentially be like, and then you get to show how badass the Queen actually is. Have her when like things are happening, she's not just standing by and going, "Oh my God, somebody,
Right.
how it's happening?" Have her being like, "I'm not standing." Blasters in hand, just
Right, exactly.
like
Yeah.
have like show us why they elected her to be the youngest queen ever.
Right.
There is a reason. That this
Decision
happened.
making.
Yes, it's just like, okay, it hit the fan. Here's what we gotta do.
Yeah, and we know now because we're on
Tatooine.
Tatooine, and she's all going off on a little adventure. 'Cause
And
they had
I'm
to
fine with
replace their drive.
You know, repairing the ship. You know,
That's fine.
Ship took some damage.
Right.
Needs repairs.
That actually,
In our
that-
version, the ship got beat the crap out.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Beat
You
up hard,
actually,
yeah.
it doesn't look super shiny like it does when it lands. Like,
no, it's
what-
got like
what-
smoke and stuff coming
what,
off of it.
What damage does it have?
It looks like tinfoil after
Yeah.
you've cooked
They
like
just-
frozen food.
They just blew a fuse apparently, and they just
Right.
gotta fix it.
Yeah.
Like,
This
do
is
you guys have any?
inconvenient,
Do you guys have any? Do you guys have any 20-watt fuses around here? The screw-in kind, you
Do
know.
you guys got a spark plug? Because we're kind of short here, you know.
Basic wear and tear, right, gang? Basic wear and tear. And,
And
okay, I got. Oh yeah.
Do we need to do? Let's go back a little bit. We'll play a little bit of this right here because this is where we're
Okay.
introduced to.
Can we also? Oh, cut all that out.
Again, yeah, we don't need Jar Jar being a.
Jar Jar should have been a
doofus.
fish out of water from the start. As soon as he gets to that planet, he's like, I've never known anything from Gungan before. I'm not comfortable with any of this, but I'm curious. This scene can die.
You're an angel, and you know what? I'm not even like. I don't fault
Anakin
this.
needs to be older.
I don't fault this kid at all. I think he
No,
did.
it's
He
not
did
his
a good
fault.
job.
It's George's writing is just absolutely dreadful.
atrocious.
He's too young. Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to be like
12 or 13.
3 or
Yeah.
4 years older than this kid. Yeah.
He needs to be, borderline teenager.
He needs to be
If he's like- yeah.
de-aged Hayden Christensen to make him look younger in this. So
Seriously.
it's like the same because it's so jarring, and I know we talked about this before. It's so jarring to go from this Anakin to Episode 2 Anakin, and you're like, wait, what?
Whoa.
Like you're 3 times as tall as you were. Like how many years have passed? Like
yeah.
4? Like I don't.
Do you take some force roids or something?
Yeah, no kidding.
Get swole.
Like it
Force
just
growth hormone.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that their age difference, which
And
I guess isn't that much.
But
if
it just feels creepy.
it does.
Like,
It
like-
feels very, very creepy.
we'll talk about this the creepy scene. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves in our
Yeah.
review slash
Right,
change
yeah,
here, but you'll see what we're talking about. But no, and
Tidarians being Jewish.
oh Lord,
we not take a Republic.
they even gave him the neck beard. He gave him the neck beard that like Hasidic Jewish men have. Like, why was that even like? I guarantee you, somebody on that effects team was Jewish. Is just like, dude,
is this what you want, George?
how much are we
This-
getting paid for this?
I'm gonna
Oh.
do it.
No, never.
Only man. And again, make Watto a 1940s nefarious type of swindler character.
Right.
Make him. He may look like that, but make him charismatic. Make it to where you understand why he makes the money he does doing what he does.
Well, that's the thing.
I'd rather have him be more like Hondo.
I think this is charismatic for George Lucas. Like
he's got that charisma.
This is his charismatic character.
Hey, what they gonna do?
Yeah.
But okay, so should we talk about right now? Because now we've got to where they're on the planet and they're at this point. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but like my thoughts would be that instead of like, because they portray Padme as a massive brat, like when she's just like, I don't.
Yeah,
approve.
she's all pouty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to.
And it would have been a really nice conversation with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, sorry, who already knows that that's not who that is. Like,
Right.
I already know.
Right.
But have it to where you have this really lovely back and forth between them, where he's like, like, what would the Queen? He was like, you're her ear.
Right.
What would she say to this? I mean, like, because I want to be.
How would you delegate the situation?
Yeah. Have her be like, this is very irregular, and then have him be like, well, okay, you're the Queen's ward. You clearly know her mind. What would she have her do here? Like what was it? And then have her actually go about it and like have her own plan.
Yeah.
And then have like Qui-Gon say like a very pointed mark where it's just like, like maybe that could be you one day. Like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going places. And then when they go in, and Anakin should be doing something.
Right, and shouldn't just be hanging out.
Yeah. Like have Padme have like Jar Jar looking around.
Much more dusty, grease.
Far more dusty.
Well, again,
Like,
and
too clean. This whole thing is too
Tatooine is too clean.
And if he was a little bit older, again, it would make more sense for if he was doing
Absolutely.
something and
Yeah.
like actually like building
Working.
things or like working
Yeah.
and not just like standing there like a little kid. And that would also make like this scene with Sebulba like basically bullying this little boy.
Yeah.
like what?
He's like, I'm gonna kick you,
Yeah.
kid. Like
He's
done.
basically
It's
like, hey, I'd hate to see you die before we like what? Like what? These two, they're
and
okay.
again, like you're totally right. Like
That
it's
thug life, I
literally a
guess.
thug,
Yeah.
it's an alien thug
Yeah.
beating on a kid emotionally.
Pod raising.
But
Time to
speaking
get out
of,
CPS.
there you go. That's how you introduce Padme as they're walking in, and then you have our charismatic, shady but whatever Watto, as they're talking and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, like he's like, I'm in the middle. He's like, he sees the robes, and you can kind of he's in the
Yeah,
middle of a
yeah.
transaction already. And he's kind of like, huh, these people got some money. Like I could probably make. He's like, okay. He was like, I have to go take care of this, and then have like his customer be like, we've been here, and he's like, no, Anakin, get it, like Anakin, like get in here.
Yeah.
And then you hear like you just hear doon, like he's working on either his pod or he's working on something shoddy that he's gonna help.
He's like Tony
Watto
Stark
sell.
in
Yeah.
the cave.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And
Like,
so when he walks out, then you have
he's doing
Padme.
great things with limited materials.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
You show like he's a brilliant with technology.
How cool would it have been if we saw
Yes.
him like
Thank
actually
you.
like hand hammering or forging
That's what I was
C-3PO's
talking-
like
Yeah.
like
yeah.
That
his
could be what he's
coverings
making. Yes.
like back there like actually like
Boy,
blacksmith.
what are you doing
like,
in there?
Yes.
yeah.
You're
that'd
not
be-
supposed to be working on that.
Yeah.
no pet projects.
Maybe that was the original reason he was building C-3PO in the 3PO in the first place. He's like, Watto has his fancy droid that I made for him that does 6 billion, all this, and I can go back to doing all of my pod racing, all my other stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
built
I can
3PO.
focus on what I want to do.
I built 3PO to service me, and then
Right.
as he got to know 3PO and taught it all the things, then he's like, okay, I don't want to give him up now, so I guess I'll have to just
Right.
and show Anakin
3PO
like,
becomes like his first friend.
yeah. Yes, this is exactly. Like,
Besties.
were you there when I was calculating this? But no, yeah, and then have Padme have Love's first rush, or at least allude to that, and then have it be like, huh, he's alright, I guess.
Yeah.
Like have her just be like, all right, and then have him be like, oh snap,
Right.
you're cute, like okay. And so
Hormones.
he deals-
Hormones.
Yes, he deals with that customer, and then when he's like, Anakin, just make sure they don't break anything while I go.
You
and
could be like
negotiate."
he's trying to be sly, but he like does like the awkward like teen like lean thing and kind of like stumbles.
Yeah.
But he catches himself. Very unnatural. You
Yeah.
get to see glimpses of like he kind of knows the Force, but doesn't know that it is the Force. like he catches himself without
Yes.
realizing he's catching himself.
Ooh,
Or like little.
like the guy with the mop.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Like a
yeah,
little
yeah,
thing where he
yeah,
like
yeah,
goes to
yeah,
reach
yeah.
for something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just a
Super
little
subtle,
like,
but
Right,
like Padme
right.
kind of catches it like,
Right.
like, yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and have Qui-Gon like as he's walking out, as Qui-Gon and
He
Watto
turns
are
his
walking
head,
out.
yeah.
Qui-Gon just gives the most subtle like, huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
as of right now,
Interesting.
right now, they've got this whole like weird thing where it's like these strangers basically just like
Showed up.
befriended this child who they
Yeah.
don't know anything
They don't know
about.
anything
Like,
about him.
there
yeah.
should have been a little scene like in Watto's workshop, like you said, like he's there, just a little bit of like that either Padme notices or even Qui-Gon, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute,
Somebody knows, like-
somebody's got to notice something."
Yeah.
'Cause as of right now, it's really awkward that these strangers are just like all up in these people's
In their
house. Like,
house.
hey,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
This is everyday life.
yeah, like
We're just always inviting strangers on a
thanks.
slave
Right.
planet.
And see and with the whole slave thing, that's when you show a little more of, you know, the walls up for Anakin.
Yes.
You know, he's very, very reserved when it comes to, you know, like he should be a little more rigid because he's been a slave for, you know,
Which we're not
And
getting at all because he's a
X amount
kid.
of-
He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little kid. So
right,
I mean,
right.
we-
But have
yes.
it to be like, you know, maybe there's an interaction between him and Watto where, like, you know, he's definitely not, you know, he understands the whole master slave thing,
Mhm.
and he's doing this, but he definitely thinks that he has much more potential for something bigger, better,
Yes.
and maybe that's part of the fueling of, you know, anger and, you know, all that other stuff.
We also should see like
Maybe,
a little.
maybe he has
yeah.
a little bit of an attitude because of that, instead
Mhm.
of I'm a person, my name's Anakin.
Yeah, and show a little something to where like either like a little disc or like something to where like when Padme sees it, and it could be like just as like they're getting ready to go to the house or whatever.
Yeah.
Padme sees it and she like is like, okay, he's just kind of like a jerk boss, but then she sees like a signifier, like something on him where she's like, oh,
he's
Like
just
a branding.
This is one of
like,
these worlds.
Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
branding.
like a restraining bolt for
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
And so that really kind of tense, awkward interaction they had at first, where she's kind of like, okay, like, you know, he's kind of okay, and again, when he lets himself out a little bit to her, she's
Right, right.
and then
you
all of a
get
sudden
to
he
see
just walls up because she's
right,
not receptive.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so you get to see starts, you know, the walls start coming down a little more, you know, because he's not a complete, you know, jerk or whatever.
And
Yeah.
and
And that gives Padme like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to step you, but
Oh, no,
it just
it's
gives Padme this thing where it's like, I get why you are the way you are, like in like you said, a branding or anything, just that brief moment where she's like, oh, I get this relationship and I get why you're a little prickly.
and
Yeah.
that leads into like when they're at their house right now, and his mom Shmi, like I think she should be more reserved too, not just like, hey
Yes.
people.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no, you guys are slaves. You've been bought and sold. Like you shouldn't be trusting anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they
Ma-
come in and you realize like they make a point that like we're Jedi, and it's like, okay, well, I guess that's fine, but like
What good have you Jedi ever done for any of us?
Right, like,
Exactly.
I'm
there
still
should
we're
be
slaves.
there
I'm
should be
still
some
a
there should be
slave.
some confrontation here,
yeah.
Yes.
because, you know, like, you're Jedi and you're, you know, some fancy schmancy, you know,
Mhm.
delegate from another planet. Like, yeah, you guys may think you're something, but what have you guys done for the little people?
The Outer Rim is boned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and these people
And
are
you've
so
done
people are
nothing.
so happy. Like, what? Why are you so happy? You're like slaves.
He's also happy about the fact where it was like, and they blow you up. Boom. I'm like,
Boom.
what?
Yeah.
So
No.
okay, so
No.
now that we're in the house,
That-
we do get we meet 3PO for the first time.
Yes.
Now we Anakin mentions putting him together and building him. Now we're assuming it's from scrap pieces and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And as we know that, I don't think he actually like programmed 3PO, right? I
They don't
mean,
ever
like-
allude. They don't ever really
Yeah.
say.
like
do they?
I think that he found pieces of like a protocol droid and put them together. So I mean 3PO, I think he's got even a more sordid past than what we see here. It's just Anakin built him out of scraps.
That's
So-
how they're so related. That's how they're relatable because like when
Yeah.
he starts accessing those memory banks from like previous owners, he realizes that like this guy was kind of beat on a little bit. Like this guy's very much
Yeah.
not dissimilar to me. Where
And-
like we
Right.
both have been like in like the servant of somebody else who's
Yep.
been like, and then as he's building the robot, that's why he doesn't give him up to Watto to like do his
Right.
job for him, because he's like, nope, you've been through enough,
And
just like me.
That I mean that would also, the reason I came to that conclusion too is because fast forward to not really spoilers or anything, but to the current movie, when C-3PO references his programming to not be able to read the Sith language. It's like, well, Anakin didn't program him to do that.
Right.
No.
So he already had to have had that programming from
Yes.
somewhere else. But I'm sure his memory's been wiped so many times
And it makes
that
yeah.
we
Oh,
don't
gosh,
you know,
yeah.
we don't get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it makes sense exactly with what you've said about, or yeah, I think it was you, Mike, when he was like he basically maximizes his resources.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much,
Right.
so he's grabbing like parts from like, okay, this is from like
He's
pulling all of this.
scavenging here and there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trading, bartering. Maybe it's a favor for a part or something. Maybe he fixed. He's a Mr. Fix It.
Yeah.
Maybe he helped someone's cleaning droid, and he gets some money to buy a part here and there. Like it should. No offense, but 3PO shouldn't look as well built as he is.
No.
I mean, I can understand the exposed wiring and whatnot, but again, too clean.
Too clean. And
Yeah,
also,
he needed to be like spurting out some like steam, like
But
sparks or
maybe
oil
he's got
or
maybe like part of him is got some plate covering, and the other part, parts of him don't. It should
Yeah.
be like ramshackle Frankenstein piece.
No, and it would have
together.
been cool to have like rusty, like steel
Absolutely.
covering.
Absolutely,
so
because
he's not
that's
all nice
all
and
he
shiny
could find.
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
all he could find.
And it's all like
Yeah,
hammer forged. Like you could
And-
tell
Yeah,
that he was
yeah,
just
yeah.
making it in the back of Watto's shop or something.
and that's the first emotional moment too that Padme and Anakin have, where there's kind of like that thaws the ice a little bit.
Yeah.
To where when she was like,
Absolutely.
"So what do you do in your spare time?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're a grease monkey, I guess, but
Right.
like
I'm
what do you
building
do?"
my best friend.
And yeah, and all of a sudden walking in, he goes, and then he like has like the remote that like Luke has.
Yeah.
When he
Yeah.
he goes click, and then all of a sudden we hear ching, ching, and then you see him walking in, and Padme's just kind of like, no.
Oh, and if you think
Like,
this is
come-
cool, you should go see my pod racer.
Yeah. And so yeah, and that could be the next emotional beat between the two
Exactly.
of them, is that going to see
Exactly.
the pod, and,
Yep.
and then you realize
Yep.
you get more of the world.
So
more
tangent.
world-building.
I just had
Yeah.
an idea for a prequel trilogy, or
Oh,
even
snap.
like Old Republic is like 3PO has been around that long. He could still be the one character that ties any other prequel
Dude,
movie together.
3PO origin story.
Yeah.
Not just he could still be in it because like he's
Right.
been rebuilt so many times, and like pieces of
Yeah.
him, like all you just need is his main intelligence and his data core's programming. Like he could be in any form whatsoever, so it could still
Absolutely.
be like 3PO from
Absolutely.
like 1,000 years
Yeah,
before this
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Just a
That's
thought.
such a good.
That
No, that's a good little like nugget.
That's a good idea for
Yeah.
a short. Like having
Absolutely.
like after the events of like the last movie, 3PO's still around, but he's with a family. There's peace in the galaxy, but the kid doesn't really understand a lot of his history. And then like 3PO's like, you want to learn some stuff, like,
Right.
from
Because
what I
how
know?"
cool
And
would it
then,
be to
like,
like learn that his programming, where he can't decipher the Sith language, is because of his programming like 1,000 years ago.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's when he was programmed
the
and built.
Yeah.
after the fall of the Sith and
Yep.
the Jedi completely took over and they
Yep.
win, they're like, okay, no droids.
Right.
No, we're not
We're-
evoking this
we're-
language
we're-
anymore.
Yeah. But it was also not only Jedi, but he also makes mention of the Old Republic. Like
Yes,
it's
he
a
does.
joint effort. To like this is no bueno. This is
No
this
good.
is this is like calling out the boogeyman kind
Okay,
of stuff.
so
Yes.
that was I didn't want to get off on like a
Oh, no, no,
super
no, no,
tangent
no,
there,
no, you're
but
fine.
That's
But-
a really nice little nugget there.
yeah, I think it would be cool to like
yes.
have that thread if we do eventually get like a Old Republic kind of movie to
I'm hoping TV show.
tie it, or
Yeah,
TV
yeah,
show,
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
or both.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, we could do a movie and TV show where they're tied
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
That would,
Yes.
but just have like that little bit of a nugget in there. You could still get the one character that could still potentially be in like all Star Wars movies.
Yes.
Okay.
And- well, one last thing. Sorry.
Yes.
The conversation with, instead of Jar Jar doing the tongue thing and getting the fruit and all that dumb crap, you could have Jar Jar and Shmi. Like that's the reason that like she starts like losing her thought again. The ice is breaking between the three of them.
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the interlopers, I guess. It's because like when she makes a comment about the Jedi and not doing anything for the Outer Rim, Jar Jar kind of like pokes and it's like, well, yeah, it's like, well, it's better than like the Naboo. Like they basically find something relatable between them about the systems,
Yeah.
the system
yeah.
of
and
the
so
world
it
that they live in.
eases that tension.
And then Qui-Gon, because he's a Jedi and he understands, like he basically just gets really honest. It's just kind of like, well, like all things, like we're evolving and growing. He was like, I can only be like, I do apologize for us not doing it. Like basically, just there's a moment of raw honesty that makes her go like, huh, So you have laughter, you have unity, and then you have Obi-Wan just sort of recognizing some of the flaws of the Jedi because he was a rogue himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's show why he's roguish and his thought process on how the Jedi should be conducting themselves. Like, there you go.
Just that would make the whole scene a little bit more connecting between all the characters,
and it makes sense why they get close to them and do everything that happens a little later in the movie.
Yeah,
right. They're still not. Yeah, they're not just like, hey, strangers, we're best friends now. Okay,
we
cool.
did it.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so with our rewrites, like this scene with Maul and Sidious would happen way earlier.
oh yeah,
Like this interaction, unless
This should be like
this should be right after he says, "I'm bringing my apprentice Darth Maul." And he's like, he will
Yeah.
whatever, and then all of a sudden
it
it
pans,
cuts to this,
yeah, it
the
pans to
hologram
this.
ending,
Yeah,
and then just
and-
Palpatine standing there. The thing, oh, it's a chair.
Yeah.
No, the booth that he's in opens up or something like that, and then standing there is Maul, and then they have this talk.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you move this scene,
up.
Yeah.
Because the scene's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing
Oh,
wrong
right.
with
It just
it.
needs
It
to be
introduces the
moved up.
character, but his character is introduced, a third of the way through the movie, and it's like, well, we need more of a presence, like a looming, like menace.
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh yeah.
And you also get to in the background with some visual storytelling. You get to show the other power players here, some of the separatist army movement.
Yes.
So that
And
counts.
so instead of at that point with the scene between Maul and Sidious, maybe you see interaction between Trade Federation and the Separatists at this point, and then we go back into the
That's
next,
the meeting that's happening.
Yep.
I also General Grievous is in episode 1 in my version of the Phantom Menace because I have General
Interesting.
Grievous. He's not talked about. Like, he doesn't say anything,
Mhm.
but he's there. And it's one of the and he, like sort of like how they're all meeting, and you see like generals and other people that we see in the later movies. Have them there.
Yeah, that makes.
But
I think,
but not only
there.
that, they all meet up, and then but it's kind of like a hologram, and it's Grievous talking to everybody, and then once it's there,
Oh, that's
no,
good.
No, but
That's
but
good.
once it's there, you pan to see a cloaked figure, and you hear his voice, and then but you don't reveal him until episode 2, and it's Count Dooku.
Dude, there you go.
Yeah.
yeah, because
Lay the groundwork.
Grievous and Dooku
Yes,
are like
yeah.
actually two
Yes.
like really good characters that are
Yeah.
Especially in Clone Wars.
yeah that
Yes,
should
especially in
have
Clone Wars.
had a little bit of a presence.
But
here
you
just to introduce-
you hear his legendary voice, and you're like, oh my god, who?
And you can
What?
do the shot in almost
Christopher Lee?
like one take, like as like the Emperor leaves and he and Maul are talking.
Yeah.
You could follow them from the side, and as the camera's panning with them, we pan past the meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
We track the meeting, and we
Exactly.
see Grievous, and then
Yep.
we hear Dooku. Like,
Yep.
you could have established all of this
Yep.
like, in this movie. What was gonna happen in the next 2?
We're gonna because we are an hour and 17 minutes into this, and we're like a third of the way through the movie.
Oh wow. Okay, we can
We
speed it up,
definitely
yeah.
fast forward.
Yeah, we're gonna skip a little bit of this.
As we're
'cause-
skipping, we'll just we can just like briefly riff this scene right here that they're having dinner. Again,
No one can
If-
kill a Jedi and all that. We've
Yeah.
already established earlier in the movie that Jedi can die.
Yeah,
yes.
that would have made that like so if we had
Ooh,
our,
that would have made that far more like
Yeah.
Right.
Qui-Gon just being kind of
Yeah.
like,
oh no,
I'm
they,
afraid this.
Yeah.
Oh,
But then the biggest controversy of the prequel trilogy about when he's taking the blood sample.
oh the midichlorians.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Actually-
that does that happen right here? Is that or is that a little bit later?
I think it's after they
They're doing the
it's over 9,000.
yeah they're doing the whole like excuse me, they're doing the whole like oh yeah we're doing the negotiations with Watto
Yeah.
for pod racing
Yeah,
and blah
yeah.
blah blah blah.
because the winnings will pay enough for the repairs.
And this
So-
this starts. This is part of it. Well, that's not a very good
Well, while you're finding
screen
that,
grab.
so the dinner scene, it should be after the moments that we have initially with 3PO, and then the nice little brief conversation. Then when they have dinner, have it be a cooking scene where Padme's like, you guys have enough here. I can make something traditionally like Nabooian. And then the Gungans are like, I can make a dish of my like. You see them making like meals together. Like there's
Right.
this unity, and then that's how you get the Gungans and the Nubians to see common ground and why Padme's kind of like,
Be like,
okay,
"You know
I've
what?
been
Yeah,
wrong about this whole
Let's
thing.
do this together.
Yeah,
and
let's
if
do
Jar
this
Jar,
together.
and because in our version, Jar Jar's not a complete idiot, he can go back and be like, no,
Yeah.
we need to work with them.
Yes,
Because right now, if he goes back and says that, then they don't really care because
Yeah.
he's
And
a
now-
bumbling fool.
There's no
yes, exactly.
there's nothing behind that sentiment.
And he's been unknowingly working alongside the queen, not just some random handmaiden. So
Right.
she understands without us knowing that, like, because we don't reveal that she's Queen Amidala yet in our
Right.
superior version.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Our
then
superior version.
so then like nothing is coerced. She's just realizing, okay, so the Gungans, it's really a relationship that we need to foster. So there's that scene. And then the scene where Qui-Gon still have him ask about the Force. Like it's like who's his father? And then we can make something up because that plays back to the moment when we're in the shop and he does that thing with the Force, and he kind of does that thing where he's like, huh. So he's like, now I'm curious. I have, because like I'm getting some real strong vibes from this dude.
Right.
So then you can keep this conversation, just rework the dialogue where there was no father. No, there's a father.
Yeah.
He's just a piece of crap.
Yeah, because him being conceived by the Force and midichlorians is kind of a stretch for something that has never been introduced in this lore up until now.
Yeah.
Or he could be like the father, basically like he could be like of Sith lineage, like he could be of Sith heritage, and then like down the line of his ancestry, they severed ties with the Sith, and they escape to the Outer Rim to create a new life for themselves. So that's why it's always been in there, that darkness, is because it's a Sith bloodline that has been redeemed, but then you have the Great Call and whatnot and whatever.
Yeah, well,
And then,
yeah, like
you could
his mom Shmi could have just like a little bit about like, well, you know, his father was a decent person. He died, blah blah, and this is the only thing I have left. And it's like,
yes,
it's some sort of relic of like the Sith. Where Qui-Gon looks at it and he's like,
oh no,
he's like, well, crap. Okay. He's like, oh yeah, this is interesting. And then like he can have like a conversation with like Obi-Wan about it later.
You can
Yes.
even mention that it's might be a little nugget here, but the person, the father figure or whatever.
yeah.
She knows that he had dealings with somebody. Didn't know, never saw him or whatever, but she realizes that it was Plagueis that was the person that ended up offing the father.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's setting the seeds of eventually down the road hearing about this kid or whatever, and then
Maybe that's
we're retconning a lot of stuff here, but that also goes into Palpatine's origin story when he offs Plagueis.
Mm-hmm.
You could have that be where that happened not too far from the events of here.
And it sets up the whole thing about like why the Skywalkers are always like pulled towards the dark side in that that context of like if Anakin's dad was Sith.
What if like through the Force, like he still trains with the Force, Anakin's father, like, and that's something that they could talk about in the other movies when Anakin's older and things he starts to remember as he learns the Force.
Yep.
Then like it would have been amazing. Like Anakin's father's story is essentially his family cut ties with the Sith. Now they have a lineage. It's on an Outer Rim planet. It's not glorious, but they're free and they practice the Force. They're not evil. So basically, once he starts sensing tremors in the Force, and Palpatine's like, "Gotcha." Oh, there's another Sith out there. And basically have a moment where like I'm going to steal from The Last Jedi because Ryan did some of the best Force stuff ever, to where like you can have a moment to where like Palpatine opens up the channels and like the father's just staring at Palpatine and Palpatine's staring at the father, and he was like, our rule, our law. He's like, it's not my law anymore. I don't follow the rule of two. You can't exist. You either kill Maul or kill me, or we're going to come after you. And so instead of letting his family suffer, his newborn baby be slaughtered, he leaves, explains nothing to Shmi, just takes off. And then you
went to go get some lotto tickets and never came back.
And went to get some credits and it never came back. And then death sticks. I went to get some death sticks. And then it never came back.
Buy some death sticks.
But and
don't want any death
there you go.
sticks.
Anakin's father. There's the story that should have been told.
Yeah.
And then so as he goes to wherever Palpatine is, then you have it to where you have the fight where he's going to kill Palpatine. Then he fights them both, and he's a badass. But it's not enough, and he ends up sacrificing himself, and he's shielded himself and the location of them from the Force until the moments here where it's just like his great failure. Unfortunately, he died. He didn't die for nothing, but it feels like he did. Like that's how you can don't why he's so hardcore sensitive with the Force.
And we don't need to.
Has a little herself.
And it's also incentive with Palpatine. He recognizes the Force signature, and that's the reason why he's gravitated not only because he can sense his Force potential, but this is familiar.
This bloodline, I know.
Yeah.
I know this bloodline.
And then that's another reason why he wants his clutches on him.
Yeah, that would make we can go with that rather than this whole midichlorian thing, and we're gonna get to that in a second because we're just gonna skip over this little okay, here's Anakin's pod. Here's a great scene of a bunch of kids messing around with a bunch of equipment they probably have no right to mess around with.
Right, but if you make them,
they should have shown Anakin's sensitive
older
side.
Yeah, if it was older, it would have made a lot more sense.
And have you have little kids helping him with the pod, and so instead of them going off and doing Jabba the Hutt gangster stuff, he has little kids who would be his little brothers and sisters, and then Padme sees another side of him, and she's like, "Oh my God, he's kind of great."
Yeah, he's he's good with kids. He ends up killing a bunch later, but whatever.
I was gonna say that makes that scene even more impactful because you're like, "Oh God, he's fallen so far."
Yeah. He's the more of this mentor to these kids, giving them instructions and letting them help him,
and when they insist on him getting into the pod race, he's kind of like, I really want to because I want to really do it for them, and I want to do it for my he has all of these reasons.
There's
and that
motivation.
Gives Qui-Gon, okay, yeah, we're definitely helping this kid.
Right.
And this has to happen.
So now we get to this whole now he's testing his blood, sending it to Obi-Wan, talking about the midichlorians, which I know that's the whole thing George Lucas wanted to explore with these things, which makes absolutely no freaking sense because you go from
the Force.
having the Force as this thing that connects everything,
mythical thing,
and now we have an explanation for what it is. But it's not an explanation.
I'm not saying it's aliens.
But it's aliens.
Yeah. It's aliens. That's the equivalent of
it's basically like bacteria that live in you that
But imagine this scene where he gets an idea of the lineage. He sees the Sith thing and he goes, "I know exactly what family that's from." And then he starts trying to connect with Anakin, not just sort of because we need to show that Obi-Wan is both wise and humble, and he thinks radically from what the Jedi Order is now.
So instead that the blood sample and all that,
he sends
he sends it to Obi-Wan to check with the records that the Jedi have, because they've got records from the old days, the old Republic days where this is part of this is a known Sith bloodline.
And it makes the Jedi Council being like, you can't train this kid.
Right.
Obi-Wan, and of
course, we've had to deal with these Skywalkers, for thousands of years. Why would we want to mess with this again?
And you create that tension between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon that you feel a little bit how he's kind of he's a little too reckless. Then you can have Obi-Wan being the good Boy Scout and Qui-Gon being like, "Dude, you don't have any idea what you're doing."
Right.
And have it be like, "Master Obi-Wan gave us this."
Right.
And we're glad he did because we know you wouldn't have. And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing."
He's like, "Yes, screw this, man.
You guys are gonna screw this up.
I don't want to have anything to do with this kid."
And you see why Qui-Gon is not on the council.
Exactly.
Because if you would just follow the rules, but you don't show any representation of him not following the rules.
Yeah, what rules is he not following? I mean, we don't have any context for that at all.
We need Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon to play it fast and loose when he needs to, but he's always reasoned.
Yeah.
He's always wise when he does it, but he knows that sometimes you gotta improvise. It just has to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. This scene. And
Which scene? The pod raising?
No. This scene that you have right there with Maul.
The one I have
when
up
Maul
here.
shows up.
We need a scene.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
We need a scene somewhere before this where after the planet has fallen, he feels a disturbance in the Force, and it's because Qui-Gon and Anakin are having this conversation, and he contacts Palpatine, he gets nervous, and then the other troops are like, the Separatist army are like, what are you doing? And then he just takes off, and then he goes to his hologram thing, and he's like, "Master," and he's like, "No, I felt it."
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
There's a divergence.
There's something going on right now, and he goes, he's like, "I'm gonna go." He's like, I feel it. It's strong. I sense it. I know where it's at.
Yeah.
And basically, he's like, "Go, get out of here. Naboo's fine. We've got it.
Yeah.
You go figure out who that is,
who and what, and what's going on."
Yeah. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but there's really no reason for Maul to be on Tatooine, right? I don't.
How is it that they established that I don't remember. How does he figure out how to go to Tatooine? Is it because of the ship?
Maybe
were they
tracking beacon?
Tracking it? Were they tracking it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't remember. But it makes me question, how did he even end up
because
the planet.
because if he sent the Sith there, wouldn't you just send the the Separatist army to
'Cause he doesn't-
Tatooine
yeah.
just to
Yeah.
capture the Queen?
Because he doesn't know where he is, because he sends out these probes, and they, the probes go out to try and find him. So it's like, how does
There
he?
you go. That's how you do it. You have members of the Separatist army that are in the Outer Rim. They get a peek of like they see the handmaid, and they're like, that robe is a little familiar.
Yeah.
And they get their orders, and like you could have, crap, could be General Grievous, doesn't matter. Somebody basically tell them, or actually no, let's let it be Darth Maul, so we can actually like have him talk and be a character and,
Right.
and stuff in this movie, because his character is
Because-
amazing in the Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah,
He's
for
an
sure.
amazing character.
Because he was on Naboo. They relay that information from Tatooine to Naboo and be like, no, you guys hold the fort here. This is this is something I'll take care of.
Yes.
Don't worry about the Queen. I'll let my master know, and I'll be on my way. And
Yeah, and again, then you have like the bomb drop where the force is felt, and he's like, "Yep,"
Yeah.
and the Emperor's like, "Go now.
Yep.
Don't even wait. Just
Yep.
do it. Don't tell them. Just go."
And then,
And then- Do we even want to make it a bet? Like, I mean, I understand what George is trying to do by like it's that adventure thing where it's like that 1940s adventure where it's like, I'll make you a bet here, sir, that this is gonna happen.
right,
you
he's
like
gonna win,
odds?
and if you win, we get to keep him.
Yeah.
He's my slave now.
Mhm. Like,
But
the
not
bet
his
should've-
mom.
The
Like,
bet should have been a straight up bet where
Yeah.
he goes, and again, don't sacrifice the mom either.
Yeah.
Where
yeah,
it's have it be, like, here's the bet. He's like, I'll take this bet because they have all this money. He knows they have this money. So as like they're talking about the bet and ratcheting it up, he's like, not only the ship, and because he's a Jedi and he has all of these connections, he's like, I'll give you this, 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 and this for both slaves. Like he ups the ante, and Quado's just like,
yeah, I think it would have been. I think it would have been
I have
great.
to take this bet.
And they could have even done this. Like, he frees Anakin and his mom, because that otherwise it's like just it's rude. But she doesn't want to go with him. She's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to stay here. Like, I've got
Yes.
my ties here, and
Right.
I actually like it here. And now that I'm free, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stay. So it'd be cool. Okay, yeah. She's
And you're too much like you're a lot like your father. Where you're going, I can't go.
Right.
right.
Because
Right.
what you're going to do, it terrified me when I used to see him get in that way before.
And it would make that separation between the two of them a little bit more heartfelt.
Mhm.
And it's
Right.
like, it's like,
Yeah.
she knows that he's got to leave,
yes.
and it's not just like
he has to pursue this.
it's not just like, well, see you, mom. You're
Yep.
still a slave. Bye.
Yeah, and I know that he tried to make that heartfelt moment. I'll free you, mom. I promise.
But
like, it should have been, instead of I'm going to free you, mom, it should have been like, I'm going to change things where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm from here. The Outer Rim is going to be freed. Like,
And he could have just sent-
slavery,
he-
all of it.
Yeah,
like,
he
I'm
could've
going to
just
bring
been
it
like,
down.
you know what? And I'll
Right.
come back and visit. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, it should have just been a straight up bet where, and then
Oh.
Qui-Gon leveraging a lot that the
Oh, yeah.
the Senate's going to be like, dude,
Yeah.
we have a budget, and he's going to be like, hey, it's worth it. But basically, he's leveraging high, and do it in front of other people, like associates that Watto really likes to feel like the king around.
Oh yeah,
And play against his
Yeah.
ego. Show that
Yeah.
this is the fast and loose Qui-Gon that the Jedi Order's like, you can't do
Right.
this kind of stuff. You
Right.
can't barter and
Why-
bet. What are you doing?
You can't barter with people's lives. You're
What
a
are you-
Jedi.
what are you doing?
Weirdo.
This is not what you're supposed to do. And
Right.
he's just like,
I'm
shut
betting the
up.
house, all right? I know what I'm doing.
Bet in the house.
These are people's lives, Qui-Gon.
And I'm trying to save him, so shush.
Okay, so we're
Shush,
gonna
Mace.
jump
I know
into
the consequences.
So we got.
Don't tell me what to do.
The whole pod racing thing.
You have to show. Oh, sorry. Before you get into
We're-
that,
yeah.
really quick, you have to show. You know how they have like races of like the past when you go to like MIS and they show like, oh, here are some of the classic
Oh,
races.
yeah,
About
yeah.
What you do is you have Anakin sitting at a monitor watching the races that he's had with Sebulba, and then Padme just sort of being like, kind of like,
Yeah.
that shit doesn't matter. You got this. And have a moment between them where you have visually, we see his past with Sebulba, the fact that his racer is almost there, it's just not. And
Right.
then, yes, like have it to where like little ego is getting in there and Padme's just kind of like, this is why Padme's good for him.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of like, I have that chip on my shoulder. I have this ego. He keeps doing this to me and he's cheating. I know he is. I can't prove it.
Right.
And she's like, who cares?
Right. Yeah.
You know he's doing it. Beat him.
And then you
know
don't
what you
get
have
this
to do.
because right now you've got that whole like, oh, you haven't won. Like, oh man, this sucks.
Loser.
Like,
Well,
jeez,
such a loser.
never won one of these things.
And you can have Qui-Gon being like, he'll be just fine. Have like
Yeah.
a funny moment where they both have confidence in him, but it's kind of like, yeah, it's gonna be fine, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Like he's good.
And
And then you can have a moment just before he he takes off.
Oh my gosh.
Qui-Gon's giving him some instruction. Because
Yes.
at the end, your focus determines your. Have that there. Have that there.
That Obi-Wan and Luke moment, right
Yeah,
before
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like, use the Force, like
Use
have
the
that,
Force.
have
Luke.
that, yeah, or like those moments that he, have this be one of their first
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
You have the conversation.
Yep.
That's one. Then you have this one where he's like, basically like, he bets the house again, where he was
Yeah.
like, I bet you feel things that nobody else does, that you can sort of see the road ahead,
Yeah.
can't you? And then sort of he's just kind of like,
Use that.
yeah,
And- okay.
yes, use that. So,
So-
and Qui-Gon Obi-Wan would be like,
What are you doing?
Also-
You're not supposed to do that.
he's too old.
If Anakin's a little bit older, we don't get this ridiculous look right here with this
Yeah.
little kid like
oh, yeah.
in this
No.
like flight suit, helmet, goggles, flying this pod.
No.
Like because
Pod racer looks awfully way too big for a kid.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
and I know we've talked about this before. I actually like really dig the pod racing stuff. Like
The
I
pod
think
racing's fine.
I think
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think if you take out the goofy double-headed commentary dude, like
Yep.
all the
Yeah.
the goofy stuff, the pod racing itself is really cool. I think it's well executed. I think it's a cool scene.
Keep Jabba the Hutt cameo. I think that's
yeah,
actually a
yeah, that's
great
cool.
idea. That's
Yep.
one of the best
Yep.
ideas in this movie.
Yep.
Establish that like this
It's
is
a
a
ni-
gangster's
ni-
paradise pod racing.
Nice Easter egg there.
Got some
And a really good Easter egg
got
there.
some another one right here. Got some
And again, you show all of those people
Warwick
in the
Davis
scene
up
where they were
here.
betting
Yeah.
before.
goofy looking Obi-Wan. Yeah, I'm just gonna click through because it's actually. So did we win? Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
won, didn't we?
And we talked about the scene about
Yeah.
Yeah, about them leaving or
Yeah.
him leaving. So again,
And make him not a liar either. Like have Qui-Gon being like, nope.
Well,
Like
there
I
was-
agree with you, Anakin. We're
Yep.
gonna come back here and take care of this.
Right.
There's
Because of the
this
conversation they had
one
before.
one missed opportunity I thought in here, and if I can find it, if not, it's where one of his retention things breaks off, and he
Mhm.
reaches out and grabs it with the stick.
Right.
Why didn't he use the Force?
Yeah.
That
But again, but that reaffirms
That-
the conversation that Qui-Gon has with
Yep.
Anakin beforehand. Like, trust your instincts.
Yeah,
Imagine that though. Like
yeah,
he hears him in his head.
Yeah.
Then ding, chink.
Yeah, and
Then-
you get to see some of his Force potential, like
Mhm.
you saw with the at the shop, and then
Mhm.
here you get little nuggets as to
And
like
maybe
this kid is the real deal.
make it more intense to the race. Have like certain sections where you just see racers just going like near boom, and he is just like a duck to water,
yeah.
using the like
Yeah.
he's and then have it slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
have
a
have
little
the
bit of that
music start to
focus.
just ramp up a little bit. That and then as he starts telling, then we hear the pod and then him just navigating through,
Yeah.
and people being like, "Whoa." Humans aren't supposed to be this
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at pod racing. What's going on?
Something's going on, and then
Something's
we
going
got.
on.
We're gonna skip. So they win.
Actually, nope.
We're-
I
what?
have one note.
What do you have? Where?
This is the only thing I'm going to give George credit for.
What?
The scene as it was originally written and originally shot goes back on here. Instead of that Anakin duck, he goes, Anakin.
Right.
And when he does duck,
Mhm.
it isn't he's going to get run over. It's Darth Maul has flown from that jet because he feels that he's the Force. He's like, oh my
Right.
God, that's another, like, that's a
That-
Sith lineage.
That's the
And
virgins.
As he flies off of his bike,
No.
the lightsaber's out, and he's gonna cut his head off, and he's like, Anakin, he screams, and then Obi-Wan's got his lightsaber out and ready, and he's running and he's rushing, and then they have this fight. Then, because the way the fight goes is that like this fight is super intense, but the only addition I will make is that Obi-Wan sees that and is like, and then the three of them fight for the first time, and of course that's when they're kind of like, dude, this guy is intense.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the part here when
Again,
Qui-Gon jumps up here,
shiny ship.
In the
Nothing wrong with the ship.
yeah, in the script, Qui-Gon does this, but the part that they cut out, see how he's rising up like that?
Mm-hmm.
In the script and the way they shot it, Darth Maul uses the Force and jumps onto the freaking ship, and Padme screams. Anakin freaks out. Obi-Wan tries to get his saber out. Qui-Gon turns on and just goes, rah, bam, and hits him with like such power and
Yeah.
force. It knocks him off the ship, and you get to see how in tuned and how powerful Qui-Gon Jinn is.
Well, he's a Jedi Master.
He's a Jedi Master.
You finally see the power of a Jedi Master.
He literally just went, bam, it rocks the ship. Maul gets thrown out, and that's why he's getting up out of the sand. That's what was in the script, was that moment there. And I'm like, why didn't they shoot that? Cut that? Like, that's amazing. So that's the only parts that I would keep.
Dude, this dog is driving me crazy. She's like on my foot.
Okay, and these scenes right here, where I was like, we can just briefly like fast forward.
Yeah,
slowly,
I can just click through some stuff here. This
is
the
scenes on Naboo. Is
this? No,
okay,
we're at the creepy Anakin.
Oh, so this scene, I would change the scene entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Jar Jar would not be in the scene at all.
No.
He would not. He's unnecessary for this scene.
So when Padme's looking at the video, people are suffering. Have her actually show some emotion, like tears, anger, something, and then you have Anakin, essentially, he's kind of asleep, but when he hears her distress, he awakes, and she's like, oh crap, I didn't know anyone else was here. And then they have a more I don't know what more heartfelt moment.
Yeah. Or even if you kept Jar Jar in there, you could have a nice moment where like Anakin after the pod race and after that thing on the ship where Welly man, it's my foot. Why are you gnawing at my feet? After so Anakin's beat up pretty hard, and because he's a teenage kid, he's like 12, 13, and he's seen some action already, and this is way more than he's ever seen. And have Jar Jar having a moment where like the main characters have camaraderie with each other, and you can have Jar Jar sort of like fixing his wounds, because he's probably scared out of his mind too. He was like, some dude in a red lightsaber flew from the ground and tried to kill me. He tried to cut my head off, and then he tried to get in the ship to try to get to me, because when he lands, you have Darth Maul look right at Anakin, have like a moment where he recognizes, he's like, oh, you.
And remember, in our version, Anakin's a little bit older too. So this whole scene, even if it plays out
it's less
the
creepy.
same way with the same dialogue, makes it less creepy.
Far less
than
creepy.
this right here, because I mean,
he's 8, she's
16.
Yeah, I mean,
15,
honestly,
16?
like their age difference, if you fast forward, like if you add 15 years onto both of them, isn't that big of a deal. But at this time, he's like just too young.
He's way too young.
Yeah.
Like even the perception, because we don't know specifically, nobody's ages are mentioned in this ever.
No.
Yeah.
So you don't know, like, if they specifically said, like, oh, okay, Anakin's 8 or 9, and Padme's, I'd be pushing to say 14, because she looks a lot older. But, I mean, even if they, like, mentioned their ages, it would make it a little less creepy.
A little less creepy.
But there's just such a stark difference between their ages and how they look. It just doesn't work for me.
I'm going back to what Mike said, you were right. Jar Jar's not in the scene at all. It should be like Anakin, because he's so accustomed to doing everything himself. He's trying to dress his own wounds, and Padme's just kind of like, I was going to see how you are, and you're being a stubborn idiot, so let me just do this for you.
Yeah, how cool would it have been if Anakin's in here, like Padme's doing her thing, and he's just kind of in the background, like, messing around with, like, R2. Like,
something.
Just, like, cleaning him up or, like,
and so, like,
doing something.
And then have their relationship, like, obviously it's not going to be full-blown
Yeah.
It should be one out of like respect, because they've both seen a lot of stuff, just in different capacities. She's seen the betrayal of an entire you're sowing some seeds. Because that first movie, look at the end of this movie.
But not only that, this is more for the next episode. But have it to be where they actually have interactions between episode 1 and episode 2. It's not just like, oh, well, you've grown. Meow.
Yeah.
Have it to be where, dialogue wise, maybe they haven't seen each other in, 6 months to a year, but they've had interactions in between episode 1 and episode 2. It's not like it's just, I've been thinking about her every single day and I haven't seen her, and like that's
and that
just
has
like
to be more subtle.
Creepy.
Right. There should be like some email traffic there or something where they've
something.
been like texting each other. Yeah.
Yes.
Just because he's trained to be a Jedi doesn't mean they becomes a recluse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they still have ways to communicate with each other.
Like maybe goes on, political like retreats or something.
Yes.
As like a liaison or whatever. Because Palpatine's grooming him to be, part of that liaison position.
Right.
Oh, but
what were you gonna say? I was gonna say I was gonna go to the next little bit scene here, unless you get another.
Oh, just real quick to blend the two scenes together. Anakin, He's hurt. He's patching himself. Padme's in the other room, and she hears the like, "You have to contact me. It's getting worse."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And then the moment plays out. I just like you could kill two birds with one stone. Where we
Right.
know what's going on with Naboo.
Yep.
And blah.
Okay, so they fix the ship. They're out of there.
Make it to Coruscant.
They go to Coruscant,
Mhm.
and yeah, the dog's pulling on my pant leg right now. She thinks that I'm a chew toy. It is not cool.
That's what she was doing with the sack.
So, look at who it is. We're all having a nice, good old talky talk
Can't think of a more boring frame.
what's going on. Yeah, like
Honestly, here's my big problem with this part here.
Oops, I don't want to go that far yet. Okay.
Like this scene right here where she's back, Palpatine, you really got to sell this that you love Naboo and you're not the bad guy.
Right.
It should have been that the moment that she came in, he rises from the seat and just gives her a hug, and he's just
Yeah.
because
He's like, oh
essentially
man, I'm
that's-
sorry. What's
Yeah.
going on? Yeah.
He saw her grow up. He saw her become queen. Like you
Right.
could even have it where he advocated for it. Like he's like, no,
Right.
she's solid.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like have a moment to where he's like, oh my god.
He's putting on this big old facade, and you don't realize, who.
Yes.
You know,
You can have him be a shrewd politician like he
Yeah.
is, but you can't have him be a robot. Like there
Yeah.
should be a moment where he's like, "Oh my god, I am so glad you're so. Oh my god, what happened to you?
yeah.
You look like crap." And
Yeah.
she's like,
Right.
Again,
eh.
too clean. Everything's
Too
too, clean.
clean.
Too clean.
Too clean. Too clean. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna.
Then she said, "Wasn't that I won't condone an action that will lead us to war?"
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So,
I think it should be the reverse
like,
because
yeah, we've.
Palpatine needs to be like, "Oh, do we really want to do this, guys?" Like he needs to be
Right.
that guy who's more shrewd and it's like, "Let's sit down at the table." He needs to be that guy because that's the facade. He needs to have that facade as a politician that cares, but he knows how to play the game.
Right.
Not this robot, and have her being like, no, we need to crack skulls. This is ridiculous. We need help. That is why I'm here.
Right.
Like, I understand that she doesn't want to go to war, but I'm sorry. After all that she's seen, when she gives that speech, I'm just like,
It's not believable.
it's not believable. Why?
Yeah.
And then have it to where Palpatine, eventually, like, because of her wisdom, he basically relents, and he goes, okay, well, when we get in there, if that's what you want to do, I got you. If you feel that this is where we need to go, then yes,
Again,
we'll do that.
Motivations. That's
Yes.
where everything's lacking.
Absolutely.
It makes more sense when she makes him the supreme. Like she
Yeah.
nominates him
Yeah.
because she should be like, we'll get there about the vote of
Yeah,
no
yeah,
confidence, but
right.
we'll get there. But it also relates to that. But we'll get to that in a second. Here's where we are now.
Yeah, we're at the Jedi Temple, right?
Yep.
Yep. So
when they
Yeah.
bring the report in with our version, it makes this scene, some more validation to, we've seen this guy, on multiple occasions now.
We know the bloodline,
yeah.
the
we
lineage,
get introduced to Mace frickin' Windu.
May
And-
Sam Jackson win down.
and none of this at the end. There was no doubt it was a Sith. No, let them know right
Yeah.
then and there that like, nope, this is a Sith Lord. Here's what happened. Blah blah.
Yep.
And they're like,
Yeah, he's like
Oh.
from Sith lineage. Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the hell are you guys doing? Why are you bringing him here? Like,
so they let them know about Darth Maul.
Yep. And,
And
then
now they talk
this
about Anakin.
scene, there's much more tension.
Oh yeah, because they're like the
Yeah.
symbol that Obi-Wan, thank God he showed
Right.
us. We know about this family,
Like, what are you doing, Qui-Gon?
and Qui-Gon's like, yeah. And in my research, because Qui-Gon would do some brief research, he goes, he was redeemed.
Yeah.
He actually didn't go to join them. He tried to kill them both
Right.
and bring balance.
Right.
So clearly,
yeah, because right now they're just like, hey, yeah, you can't train this kid.
Right.
And he's like, but I'm gonna do it
The
anyway.
rules say he's
doing it
too
anyway.
old.
I'm doing it anyway.
and Qui-Gon should bring up the history too, where it's like, look, he's not the only one in this lineage that
Yeah.
that has felt the light and has
Right.
felt the pull.
Right.
There's something about this lineage, and as it goes down the line, more of them are going towards the light. This could be the balance
Right.
that the prophecy's talking about.
Yeah.
This family in
Not
particular.
talking about a midichlorians and
No.
the force
And-
birthing somebody.
Yeah.
I do think we needed a little bit of an actual scene here with like Anakin and actual
Yes.
Yeah, it
Padme, like
seems-
with a little bit of like goodbye, because like
He should have been like, yeah, like
Just-
instead of like, I'll let her know she cares for you. Like,
Yeah.
no, it should have been like, she goes, can you give it? Like, can you give me a minute? And she's like,
Yeah.
no, you can. She's like, you stay, and like have her, like, tell me about Padme. Like have her being like, I'm debriefing everybody about this. Tell me about Padme.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, because the way this
she's
stands right now, this scene actually makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
None.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like there's completely pointless. Like
it's pointless. But having her, like sort of talking to him, or even have all the people around too, where she's like, "Tell me about Padme."
Yeah.
I already know about the Jedi
Right.
and the Gungan.
Yep.
The Gungan, we're getting cool. And so as he's like describing Padme, he's describing her, and of course it's a foundation of
all-
respect.
right.
And
Yep.
she's just kind of like that. And he goes, "I kind of wish
You
she was
see,
here."
you see like a wry smile on her face,
Mhm.
because she knows, but he clearly doesn't.
And you could have had that line,
Yeah.
mean something where she goes,
Yep.
"I'll tell her her heart goes with you," because he was like, "Look, I have
Yeah.
to go because
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing." He was like,
Right.
"But just tell her I said goodbye, please." And then
Right.
then it means even more because she's like, "We've
Absolutely.
been through so much
Yeah.
together. I can't tell you who I am or I'll get killed."
Right.
Like, but
I'm gonna get got.
mhm.
So what's
And-
so important that she can't talk to him? Oh, Senate stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Senate stuff. And this scene needs to be shot. Whoa.
Quiet.
No, this needs to be shot with much more dynamism. Like it should have been like every time a senator goes like, "We don't have any idea of this and that,"
Yeah.
and then cut back to her, and then having her feel like she's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Where she's like, "Okay, so this corruption Palpatine was talking about, I didn't see it before. I'm not naive," and then have it very like dawn on her very quickly, like, this is a nightmare. I
Yeah.
understand what he's saying now,
Yep.
because the best way for Palpatine to be able to get into power and to be able to use Padme to do it is just to tell the truth. He's using
Yep.
the truth
Yep.
as his weapon.
Yep.
Because he knows it's corrupt.
Yep.
He's a part of it.
Yep.
So him using that truth and being like, and instead of him be like, "One that shall not continue," to be like the poison in the ear, it needs
Yeah.
to be. It needs to be like in Hamlet, the sweet,
Oh, yeah.
sweet poison. It's affecting your brain, and you don't even know that it's doing it.
Like,
and have Palpatine.
This is the problem, and I am the solution.
Yeah, and Palpatine can say something that is like both democratic, like military might, like all these
Yeah.
things that hit her check boxes. Like he's like, "This is where I need to do it now,"
Yeah.
and that's why she nominates him because she's like, "Oh my god,
Yeah, so they do the whole no confidence thing. Oh look, there's all the little ETs.
Little
ET.
ETs.
E.T.
And so basically, and then have a moment right before she does the vote of no confidence, and her like chair is going back, like where he's like, "Okay, well we've heard from the delegate of Naboo," and then like and she looks at Palpatine, Palpatine's like, like, "Your call, whatever you want to do. Like I'm standing by you." Then she stops her thing, and she's like floating in the middle, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And she goes back. Then says, "I confidence of no leadership." Gives her reasons.
Yeah.
They're on point. And then people are kind of like, "Yeah." Like, and then you hear murmurings, and you hear a lot of people sort of like mimicking her sense of like,
Yeah.
she's right.
Yep.
And then that's when he's kind of like, "Oh no."
Yeah, basically we want the same outcome of that scene. Just it needs to have more gravitas to
Yeah.
it.
More gravitas, more weight, more Padme realizing that she doesn't know that it's not that, like she's being used as a pawn, but it's her being like, this institution that I put so much stock in,
Right.
it has failed me so spectacularly. And then the line that she gives about, "This is how democracy dies," then you could have
Yeah,
that
that's
have
later
much
on.
more
Yeah,
weight
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Right, for sure.
And with Anakin being older and them realizing who Anakin is makes this scene, gives it some more,
Much more weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can even have like some of the older members
There's
of like,
much more tension in the scene.
you can have Yoda even talk about that lineage where he talks about, he was like, it's a dark lineage, but there's light there. He was like, Master Qui-Gon's not wrong.
But
He was like, and I
clouded
sense
this
that light in
but
you.
yeah. But he puts the point forward, like clouded his future is, no doubt. After he he passes the test, and they ask him how he feels, and
Yes.
and
And instead of that, like, what's that got to do with it? It could be that like that chip on his shoulder starts to surface.
Yeah.
Like they say something about his lineage, about a father that now that he knows a little bit about him, that like, and he should be told the truth immediately about his dad. Like none of this, and then like have it Obi-Wan. Ooh, there you go. Why Obi-Wan didn't want him to know? It's like, Qui-Gon, you should not have told him about
right,
his father in that capacity.
right,
That leads, and because of the fallout, that's why Qui-Gon doesn't do that, or sorry, Obi-Wan doesn't tell Luke about his father
yeah,
in A New Hope because
Yeah.
of the mistakes of the past as he
Right.
sees it.
right,
Like I said, you're setting up all this stuff. But yeah, so his barbs shouldn't be just like quippy, "Oh, look at this kid saying funny things. Isn't he
Yeah.
clever and witty?" It should be, and he's come from a place of emotion. where he's like, don't talk about him that way. Like,
Yeah.
don't talk
You-
about my family that
You
way.
don't know him.
You don't know him. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. And Yoda's kind of, and that's why Mace Windu's kind of like, okay, I like him.
Right.
Like,
There's two, there are some good check mark boxes, but
There
he doesn't
are.
check them all off.
no.
And could we have like a different test for like whatever they're doing here besides the like flashcard like
That's the Ghostbusters
speed
test.
or-
Yeah.
but, like
Like, why?
I mean, I don't know what it would be. Maybe just a like, hey,
Ooh.
move some stuff around with the force.
You could have a sequence where, like, are you like basically like we see inside of his head, like it's some sort of like the force takes you to a place where like they essentially throw these tests at you. We see like and tests from his past because
Or it could easily be, with the practice saber with the droid thing with the helmet on, and they're asking him questions as he's doing the test.
yeah,
He's working on this practice saber here. He's never used it before, but
yeah.
seems familiar, and he's blocking back these
Mm-hmm.
bolts as they're asking him these questions.
Yeah, like I love like a combination of that and then I understand what I remember now. What Ryan Johnson did with The Last Jedi when Rey is on the rock and she has her eyes closed and she's seeing all these force images, like that could be like they're basically like we've tested your your dexterity. Now we're going to see how your mental game is.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately
Yeah.
for Anakin, his mental game is 50-50, which
Right.
is Yoda's entire point, where
Yeah.
like you're clouded. So some of the things that he does that are supposed to be right are right. Some of the things that he's pulled to, he shouldn't be going in that direction at all.
Exactly.
And that's why they're kind of like,
No.
that's a no from me, dog.
Right.
And like, so yeah, like,
You see his potential, and they recognize that potential, but there's not enough there's too many negatives.
yes,
There's clearly quite a bit of positives. He's clearly his force potential is off the charts. You don't need to rank it by a midichlorian system, but they recognize that he's got a lot of untapped potential.
Yes, you could have it to where like the beginning of his force training, because like they devote so much time to such dumb crap in this movie.
Yeah.
Have it to where like we see his dexterity, what he can do with a saber,
Yeah.
or a saber equivalent.
Yeah,
like, 'cause
yeah,
they're not going to
yeah.
give him a saber.
Practice saber.
And then all of a sudden, they do the mental thing, like in The Last Jedi, where they throw all these things at him, and they're all in his head too. Because they're all doing this. They're doing these projections. This is part of the test.
Yeah.
And then when it's done, he then rises up from the training center below up to the center of the council.
Yeah.
He's covered in sweat, tries to compose himself, and then they're all just kind of just staring at him like, uh-huh. And have some of the members clearly be like, well, I mean, like the look on their face, like, if we
Yeah.
did train him and we did a good job, he's super powerful. Like,
Right.
But if we don't train him, crap, what's
That's
gonna
Mace
happen
Windu
then?
too.
Too?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. And have it be there is some tension. Like there's some people on the council that would be in favor.
Yes.
But there's more no's than yeses.
Absolutely.
It's not just Qui-Gon against everybody.
Mhm.
They realize, if he is the chosen one of the prophecy, that there could be some weight here as to why
Yes.
they have some, proof, circumstantial proof
Mhm.
as to why they would say yes. And
Exactly.
maybe that's something that is done once Anakin, they shoo him off or whatever.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a quick discussion, or maybe it's the scene with Qui-Gon when he comes back.
Which
Yes.
we're gonna get to that here in a second because there's a little bit here with
In this, I have so much issue with this scene.
So do I.
Because Palpatine seems so fake.
Yes.
Like you're going back, stay. Nah, I
I
can't
really don't
stop
care.
you. And then he has like this like weird smile at the end. Like,
yeah.
like what was his intention of that? Like you don't see any intention from him at all.
And Jar Jar in the scene. This is, and here you go. Here's the beginning of the unification of the Nubians and the Gungans, where because Palpatine, he's going it from a political standpoint, and so he's giving these like really astute political arguments as to like, you need to stay and advocate this. We've got Jedi. We can do this. And she's like, are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, I am their queen.
Yep.
I already had to watch them once when I had to flee the planet, get slaughtered. That's not happening a second time.
Yeah.
They're going back, which means I'm going back. Like, end of discussion. And then you hear from Jar Jar's point of view. And we hear about Gungan history and about everything that he's been feeling up until this point, from what we've learned about Jar Jar, about his place on his planet, his place with the Nubians and whatnot, and about how it's like, look, I know you guys aren't fans of mine, but we do share the same world. And I know you don't want to admit it because none of my people want to. There's a lot culturally that we also share.
Yeah.
It's like, this shouldn't even be up for debate.
Yeah.
We need to fight back. Like, this planet we have to return and take it. And Palpatine, and again, you have to have Palpatine be right about a few things. Like, politically, where it's just like...
he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's like you go and lead an invasion force, it's going to completely nullify every argument that you had. And then, because it's what he wanted, she needs to be like, look, we have to do this. He have him be like, okay, well then let's go. And she's like, no, you're staying here. You need to be our political arm. You need to stop these things or whatever you have to. Be the advocate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be the new chancellor.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like you're on the short list for a reason. So
yeah, because up until this point, we don't really have, again, a lot of motivation for him to necessarily be the new chancellor.
Exactly.
Just besides that we know he's going to be because he's the bad guy, and that's how it happens. I mean, that's...
But if you show a sense of like pride for his planet, his love for essentially his daughter that he helped grow politically, and she's now in office.
Right.
You have all these things happening, and then when she talks about, we're going to go fight the fight down there, you fight for us up here, and we become chancellor, and this.
Yeah.
For good. And of course, that's exactly what he wanted to hear.
Yeah. And he's pulling the strings, and he finally gets, that side of it, how he wants it.
Yep. He was exactly. And show him as like a master manipulator and tactician.
Because that's who he is.
Yep.
And that's the reason why he gains the power that he does.
Exactly.
It's very subtle, and
you're not scratching your head as to like, how did he pull this off? It's like, oh, I totally understand how he did it. He's a master at the worst kinds of things to do.
Yeah, he's a very good chess player.
Manipulating emotions.
4D chess on Dagobah.
He's been playing it for so long.
Yeah, like he's 10 steps ahead of everybody, even the Jedi.
So moving on from there, we go back to the scene in the temple where they're like, "Oh, come on, we really want to train him." Like,
we also need a little scene before this, with a little bit back between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it has to do a lot where Anakin's kind of like, you're not really into this, are you? Like me being trained. And then Obi-Wan, because he's brash, he's like, no,
right,
I'm not. And then during that brief conversation that they have, like just before this right here, before they go in, because Qui-Gon's talking to them beforehand, and just before those two are supposed to go in and speak their piece, something that Anakin says, something about the way he presents himself, something, there's like a tickle in the force in Obi-Wan where he's like, oh, crap, Qui-Gon might actually be right about this kid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so that's why when he's like, I'm going to train the boy, and like the other council members are looking to Obi-Wan, who's like the Boy Scout. And
I think Anakin should not be present in the scene. I think he should be.
That's actually a good idea.
He should be outside.
He should be out waiting for them to decide his fate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And after that interaction that they have, then Obi-Wan comes in and they talk.
Because I mean, he's already had his little tests and stuff done. Like he doesn't need to be there.
That's a good idea.
The grown-ups are talking.
Right. Because they got other things that they have to talk about that might not be, could be sensitive information that Anakin really doesn't need to know about.
Yeah, he is. And what would he do with it?
Yeah,
right. I mean, they're gonna throw his lineage under the bus. They don't necessarily want to do it with him in the room.
But not that. But we're talking. But also the Naboo stuff too.
Right.
Yeah. And
finding out about the Sith. That's stuff that he doesn't need to worry about.
No. And then you can have Obi-Wan like Qui-Gon's defiance, and everyone's kind of like, yeah, we saw that coming. Yep. Obi-Wan, will you be the voice of reason? And Obi-Wan's like, has that moment where I stand with my master. If this is his call, I trust him. And that makes the entire council go, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
All right. And it was like, and plus, we're going to need all the help that we can get because we're pretty sure that the Sith are going to return. Like, that Sith Lord is going to return to Naboo to finish this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's going to try to kill her again. We already have the vote of no confidence. That's the curveball where everyone's like, oh no.
Yeah.
That doesn't detract from the vote about building an army for the Republic.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and again, and we also know of the beginnings of this because then in the next movie they do intelligence and Clone War stuff, where the Separatist Army.
Yep.
That's where they're like, we're going to look into the whole Separatist Army thing, like that. We're going to look into that. You have to stop the assassination of the Queen when you guys return back to Naboo.
Because if she's assassinated, we're talking about a full scale war that we are not prepared for.
Exactly, because people are going to be rip roaring, ready to go. We have no army. It's going to be like militias, essentially.
Which we should all know is coming because what's the name of this movie?
Yeah.
Star
Wars. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I never got that until
Stars Democracy? No, that doesn't have the same.
Star Republic? No. doesn't have that. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
But again, their decisions have, there's some weight to them.
There's weight and consequence. Yeah, exactly. And you're setting up things. You're laying the groundwork for what 2 and 3 are going to be about, which is the creation of the Separatist Army, and the eventual creation of the Republic Army.
Right.
Like, because the Jedi, and then this is where you can have the Jedi's being stretched. Then we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a lot of armies going on here.
Army.
I don't remember what Qui-Gon's talking to Anakin about right here.
oh, yeah. Well, let's listen.
He's talking about his fate determines his reality, and even though you're not my Padawan, but just stay close to me, and I'll keep you safe.
Forgot I can actually hit the play button and watch these things and listen to them. We've just been. You never will, kid.
Yeah.
When you finally think you're going to understand it, you just throw a wrench in the whole thing. All right, so basically they're
rigid.
They're
rigid, and you cut that whole interaction out. The interaction. First of all, she should be excited to see him after all they've gone through.
Absolutely.
Like when she sees Qui-Gon, maybe it's one of those like classic '80s cop movies where it's just like, you ready to do this again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, there's nothing more getting back with friends, going out and trying to fight an invasion of a planet. Like
Deuces, we're out of here.
Have that classic Star Wars humor that you would hear Han
Absolutely.
Solo say to somebody. You can have that moment where
Yep.
it's friends on an adventure. They're getting back to it. They're gonna try to do the right thing. Like
Chewie, we're home.
Yeah. and then what they also need to establish early is that right when they get on the ship, Padme, before anything else, she goes, "Oh, just like we talked about before. Give him a call. We're gonna set up this meeting. We need a unified Naboo. Let's get this going. We have to hear the two of them work that out for this scene.
For this scene to work. Yeah. So now that
the meeting just happens at random, which makes no sense. There's you have to establish the connection between the two peoples.
Right. They just show up and they're like, "Hey," and that would have made this our movie. This part would have been way more impactful.
And
they go to the secret backup hiding place, and they're just like, "We're okay with this."
They're okay with all of the Naboo people that they hate showing up.
Yeah, there needs to be they should have sent Jar Jar should have sent some sort because remember in our movie Jar Jar's not an idiot.
He's not an
so
idiot.
Bubbling
they
buffoon.
show back up and he sends a communication saying "Hey, we really need to get together with these people," and it doesn't even have to be all of the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be all these other people in this scene. It could just
no business being there.
it could just be Jar Jar, the Queen, Padme's there, and you got a couple Jedi, and they show up to treat with them, and that's when
we get the big reveal.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, and hold on to it, George, for a little bit. Don't just have it be I'm walking now. There's no tension. That tension should be is she going to? It should be is she going to yield? And of course, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are just kind of
This decides things.
Padme, say something to her, please. And then when you think that she's going to give advice, she looks at Qui-Gon and everyone, and they're kind of like, dude. And then when you think Padme's going to give the advice, it just blows right by her.
Yep.
I'm the Queen, and then everyone go, and have Anakin sort of just be like,
What?
What happened
triple take
there?
Yeah.
You're, oh snap.
Yeah. Snap, crackle, pop.
Snap, crackle, pop. You're the Queen. That's awesome. And then have it to where she explains their side, and then have Jar Jar a part of that moment.
Yeah.
When he's talking to the king, and it was like, look, you wanted me to be your representative. You wanted me to relay back to you what I've seen,
Like,
and give our perspective.
been hanging out with these people, you know,
Yeah.
they're pretty cool. They got some really valid points here.
Yeah. I've been hanging out with the queen, and I didn't know she was the queen the whole time.
Yeah.
This is the most genuine person you're going to meet. I know the kings and queens of the past have been terrible to us. There's a reason that she's elected because she's so young. It's because she's the future. She's like, and I am telling you, it's going to be a massive mistake if we don't do this.
Right.
And have Captain Tarpals, because you've already established their relationship, be the one where Tarpals kind of looks at him. They have a moment. The fact that he would, in a royal setting, step up unannounced to do his whole thing is kind of like he's seen some stuff.
Yeah.
He understands now that not everything falls in line the way it's supposed to be. Not everything is this. Okay, I'm still iffy on the Naboo. But if he can evolve like this, so can we. Like, you have Tarpals and other generals being like, no, like, tactician.
I agree.
You know, as a tactician,
together we're
yes,
stronger.
We're stronger together.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we have to do this. And none of the, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're gonna go. We got Palps talking to. Oh, sorry.
To Darth Maul.
Darth Maul saying like
He knows they're returning, and
yeah.
The battle itself is not that smart either. Where it's like, once we're inside the throne room, it shouldn't be a problem. It should have been the whole thing is like, okay, this sucks, but we're gonna have to comb that building and find Newt Gunray.
Yep.
He's going to be our only leverage in order to be able to stop the Federation from doing this.
I would have made the this whole battle here. I would have made the droids come to me, like in the woods.
Yes.
Where,
yeah. Well, but in our film, you know, they are more of
like a guerrilla, like
warfare style. So you have to set it up to where they end up like in a bottleneck. It's not this giant open field.
And you have, not only do you have their guerrilla warfare, you have like the centuries of military expertise of the Naboo now.
Yeah.
So now you have both of these forces combined to create attacks that they're not going to be prepared for. They're sophisticated yet unpredictable.
Which really, you just got like Padme, like being all like, and what's his name, the general, her
starts with a T.
Oh, the captain.
Captain. Yeah, like
Tanaka.
Yeah, there we go. Like
had to dig deep for
and
that
a handful of like they're the ones calling the shots. Like, all right, I don't know. It's just
it should have started with any of the resistance that hadn't been slaughtered, that had been captured in Darth Maul's absence.
Yep.
They let them free. You have generals, you have other soldiers, and the Queen. You can have, and again, you can have other Star Wars lore. The Queen's Guard, the most BA members of the Nubian army, where they're just. Even the Jedis are like, oh dang,
right, yeah.
I'm glad they're with us.
Yeah,
glad they're
have
with
them
us.
have some like really cool like hand-to-hand stuff, and like, you know, they've got some awesome like weird Naboo weapons, like
some weird Naboo martial arts or something,
right.
To where they're doing
But
these things where you're like,
make it more grittier. This again,
Right.
everything looks
It's
too
so
clean.
everything looks
so
way
clean.
too clean.
yeah. I mean,
And it should have been that they needed to like lower their expectations.
Yep.
Like it should have been like that you send a little out.
Yep.
And then so they're like, this is gonna be a cakewalk. And then the droid armies do their thing with separatist weapons.
Yep.
And then when they signal the retreat,
and
that's when the Nubians come in. And they have their sophisticated, you have turrets up. You have all this kind of stuff, and they're like, and they look around them, and the entire battlefield has shifted. And we need to see the Nubians be tacticians as well as elegant people.
And why is the hangar bay not more heavily guarded?
Good question.
there's just like a handful of like droids in there, holding all the pilots at gunpoint. Like, first of all, if you're gonna hold somebody at gunpoint, don't put the pilots in the hangar with the planes. Put them like in the detention center, or like
Like, it makes no sense. Like,
that happens.
We're just lazy. Now they have free access to all the ships.
Have that happen in another room, like an antechamber or
at least
something.
put them in some like shackles or some ray shields or something.
Yeah.
You know, like
and have Anakin and Padme
have them
liberate the pilots. Have them fighting alongside each other, like building that relationship, working together
before they have to separate.
And then as they get the pilots to get to their ships, and because Anakin's like, I'm getting in one of these, and like that's his intention. None of this
like
oopsie goops.
Anakin's
pushing
like buttons.
Anakin's like, I'm a sick pilot. Remember pod racing? Like, I'm gonna go fight with these fools. And Padme's like,
no,
that's my man. Like,
that's my man. Like, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like, no, you can't do that. He's like, no, I'm going. Like,
And he's like, no, you're gonna stay with. And all of a sudden, like, build up Darth Maul's presence. You hear doom, doom, you just hear screams, things like metal groaning, whole rooms being like, whole things being destroyed, and then just have them be like, oh my god, like what's happening? Build that tension up,
and then that makes this scene, as epic as it is, even more epic.
And it's interaction number 3 too.
And then here comes John Williams.
Dun dun. Then when that door opens, you're like, uh-oh.
The greatest part of the whole prequel trilogy.
Yep.
Duel of the Fates.
And I know that this is maybe not George's intention, but like when that door opens and you see Maul, there should be bodies around him.
Yeah.
There should be debris and rubble because like he's
like he just fought his way through to get here, and he's just killing. Yeah, he's killing everybody and everything.
Now
in his
the only
way.
thing I would change about this whole choreographed dynamic is it's got to be more grittier. There's got to be more,
I want
singes,
fists thrown. Like
everything's more aggressive.
Yeah, like actual damage being done.
This is way too passive for a lightsaber fight.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's epic and it's cool, but it could have been better.
And
it's missing some grit. Needs some grit.
Yes. And then
I don't have time.
What
for
should
this.
have been? What it should have been here?
Should have been like a grenade or something.
Not only a grenade. It should have been. We actually see separatists like their elite levels.
Yeah.
Like we see things we haven't seen before.
Right.
But we make that connection from what we saw in the beginning of the movie of them getting on the ships and loading weapons and whatnot. And then
so we've got like, and I don't mean to cut you off, but there's
you're fine.
This whole. You've got 3 different things going on right now at once, which you've got Jar Jar being an idiot.
Yep.
You got Anakin being an idiot.
Yep.
Yes.
And
actually 4 things, because you got the lightsaber fight, and then
then you've got
trying to
Padme
make
with
trying to make it to the throne. So you got 4 different things going on right now.
Right. So this whole thing right here with Jar Jar, again, our Jar Jar's awesome. He actually like fights and he's a badass, and it would have been so much better than.
And it could be an interaction between him and we found an opening. This is something we can exploit. And,
yes.
What
if instead of just like dragging them out in the middle of the open, what they're doing is they have to basically like we're like a massive stronghold where a lot of the pilots are to be able to add in that, like to be able to fight in this. That's what like we need to take that out because we're going to need those pilots, and we have pilots that'll be able to get out. But this is where our elite ships are. This is where like the big heavies are, and so that's the sacrifice they make. And then when they win, show them winning already.
Yep.
And then we go, it's done. Get the pilots in there, go. And as you see ships and massive ships and Naboo fighters flying overhead, you see like we're going to the main city. We're liberating the city now. And then you see the Gungans and even on cooler animals, like they're beelining for the city in order to be able to finally end this thing.
And well, we just went past it, but the part where Anakin's like flying around like a weirdo. So there needs to be something in this, because he flew up here, and in our movie he's up here intentionally.
Yep.
There needs to be something that he recognizes that brings it back to like him actually like having this intelligence where he's like, I recognize these like shield generators or something. He's like, I can just fly right through that.
Yeah.
Like rather than this be just like this big old like accident, how he accidentally like shuts down the whole flipping droid army. He needs to have like a motivation to actually do that.
What would have been awesome is like he's like the shield generator. He's like the shields that I use on my pod. It's not much. It's not light shields. It's based on this tech because we've, through illegal means, had some of this stuff. He was like, the only way that I was able to crack it is this algorithm. It might work here, or it might make it weak enough to where we can just basically break the shield entirely.
Right, and he could say something to R2 and be like, hey, R2, run blah, 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 and it like, just something to like actually...
Could just be where it's just like a delay for like 10 seconds, and that's the opening they need to get inside.
Right, but it's like, it would make it so much more palatable for me as if he actually had that knowledge to do it rather than just like accidentally flying into this thing and being like, oh, I'm gonna destroy the whole ship accidentally.
Have the Naboo be overwhelmed in the air, not in the air, but in space. Have them be overwhelmed during the battle, and then Anakin's just kind of like, somebody needs to take control. And then you see Anakin just take out like 9, 10 in a row, and other pilots going like, whoa, and he's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. He goes back to like the main ships, like the bulk cruiser, and like. Is like, here's my algorithm, here's the idea. I don't know if it's going to work. It might give us just enough time. It may even give us 2 minutes.
Right.
But it'll be enough to be able to attack that center. And then when that happens and they're like, algorithm worked, it was like, we don't have a ton of time, but let's do it. Then the center of the Droid Federation ship, which is the heart of it, then we see this like big, massive, like, it's like oh yeah, we didn't think about the defense.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be a problem. like raise the stakes even more so. Where it's just like that's gonna be a problem. But Anakin's like, I'm leading this expedition. Let's go. And then now you're only focusing on the fight.
See,
then-
when Obi-Wan gets kicked, he should be beat up, cuts,
They
bruises.
both should. The three of them should just be beat all to hell.
Yeah, there should be, like you said, singes. You know, I get
bloody knuckles.
just
like
you know, I get
gashes in the
and
leg.
I'm fine with this part right here. Separating.
This is fine. Yeah,
This actually works, but
he should have done the force.
There's got to be some wear and tear, man.
How awesome would it have been if they bring back the force running?
Yeah.
And he's flying through it.
Yeah.
And as he's flying through, you see him go chink,
Right.
chink, chink, chink. But the last one he can't get to, and
Yep,
he stops
that-
right before
yep.
then because it would have killed him.
There should be, and they should be fatigued. Like,
Yes. Yes.
Sweating,
like,
some dirt, some grime, whatever,
Yes.
some bleeding,
I guess that was Liam Neeson's idea to like do that
and that's
during,
fine.
Which is a
during
great
filming,
idea.
which is
He
really
catch
cool.
his
Yeah.
breath.
Catch his
Yeah.
breath.
Not only is it good to refocus himself in the force, but he gets a breather.
Mhm.
Right.
And again, we know
How practical! What a great idea.
this should have happened to lead to the ambush that leads to that section of the airfield
Yeah.
open.
Yep.
The most crucial, where all of their
Yep.
like elite ships are.
Yep.
Where all their generals are like, okay, hey,
Yep.
we're coming to join the battle. We're not much, but here we go. And then when they go back to the city, we don't see them for a while.
And we
None
don't
of
see-
this crap happens where he's like, "Ooza booga, ooh,
I'm a bumbling idiot still.
look at me accidentally being
Whoopsie
heroes.
doozles.
Yeah, and
What's
the-
to do?"
And they just
Dunk,
happen
dunk, dunk, dunk,
just
dunk, dunk,
spread
dunk,
out
dunk,
and take out ships like
And again-
multiples. Like how?
And again,
Makes no sense.
the Naboo could have been like, "Look, this is actually not dissimilar to some of this tech that we have. We can focus it up and put it through an apparatus and make this thing twice as deadly." Like they could have like cobbled something together, shared information. This is how you unify the planet: is that you're working together for its liberation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and then you have Captain Tarples, Jar Jar, and other elite generals when we do go back, because like we should have Padme almost lose. Like Gunroy has like just as an elite unit.
Yeah. Well, he's got
And-
the separatist the destroyer droids, the big ones.
Yeah, he can have the big and then so like
It's the
after
first
they're-
time we see those guys show up.
and after they're almost defeated. Oh, well, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah.
We're gonna go to.
Gonna flip the
right.
switch.
There we go.
You can have Anakin leading a group of bombers. It's like, look, these are kind of tight, so stay close, and have him
Gritty,
just
gritty.
barely hugging the
There
ship.
should be some more, like punching, kicking,
Oh yeah,
Ugh, man, these shields always getting in my way.
Yeah.
it should have happened once, and then when he got out, the three of them were fighting again. But then, like all of a sudden, Obi-Wan lets his guard down ever so slightly. Darth Maul takes advantage. Then you have this happen.
But when he puts up like and hits him in the chin, his face should be bloody.
Oh,
and then the finishing blow makes it even more so. Like he should be all beat to crap right now.
Yeah, it's like one of those endurance things. It's like you keep fighting like boxers or something where you're like at the end of the you're 10 rounds in and you're just like
and none of this happens.
throwing punches and
Too clean.
It's too clean. None of this happens. But what we do see is that we do see Padme about to be murdered by the Viceroy. Like they're done.
Yep.
You see Tarples and Jar Jar and the most BA elite of all of the Naboo that we see in the beginning that save the Jedi, that save Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. They're at this scene and they come through. And then that's when Padme, she's going to surrender.
Yeah, yeah.
And then one of the natural defenses is like, I like the gun thing, but she just kind of runs to a chair. That's dumb. Like, it should be that like the Queen's Guard, her captain, and her.
Yep.
There's only certain things that they know. The decoy thing I actually like a lot.
yeah.
Actually-
The decoy thing is all right. I mean,
Actually, we can eliminate all that altogether because it kind of takes away from Padme. It should just be about her at this point.
I think it would have been like more badass if they straight up just like did some martial arts or actually hand-to-hand stuff with a couple of those battle droids and just took their guns and then shot the rest of them. Because she had to like hightail it from where they were standing clear across to that chair.
Yeah.
And nobody's
Which-
like, what's she doing?
We're just gonna let her do whatever she wants, I guess.
And now the reason that they need Newt Gunray and is because they're like, we're going to take you to the Senate because you're a war criminal now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Right,
You're the
yeah.
evidence. And guess what? When I present you,
See, I like
it's
this
over.
though. It's
Yeah,
high
this-
intensity,
Yes.
so much more, and you can even get it where it's up close, some more grittiness.
I would add when he does this right here with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
He kicks him, and then when he falls down, tries to get back up again. Obi-Wan, in a fit of rage, just uses the Force and pushes him into the wall.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
knocks over.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when Maul's like, "Okay, this kid's good."
And see that the kick and then flip that was retarded. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna kick him, he should be flying back.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't
Love
make
that.
sense.
Love that
But
Yeah.
close up.
But like, yeah, there should be definitely more use of the Force in these fights too.
Yep.
Like,
And here, like, have him arrogantly like knock the saber off. That's fine. But then instead of just like swinging his like lightsaber, like, look at the sparks, yee.
Yeah.
It should be he looks at him. They have a moment, and he starts to try to Force push him, and you just see Obi-Wan's hands just barely
Yeah.
hanging on, and then Obi-Wan getting the same advice that Anakin got earlier.
Yeah.
Because that's their link, and that's what forges that relationship headed on. This is
So
terrible,
stupid.
and this is gone.
yeah.
I just got lucky.
Oopsie doozles. Pushing more buttons again.
We're losing power. How?
And show, yeah,
I don't know.
have Anakin go on a bombing run.
Yeah.
Like show the military.
Well, and like I said,
like
I
the
don't
prowess.
I don't have any problem with Anakin like actually flying into the ship and destroying something if he's doing it intentionally.
Intentionally.
There's
Like
a purpose.
He figured
to do
out
it.
he figured out on his own how to get in, how to do it, and
That would
he
be-
recognized he recognized what he needed to like take out in order to like bring the ship down.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, if he again, he's
There has
he
to
has
be
motivation to do it, not
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
oopsie, I did
This
things
is
accidentally.
This is one step in his goal, which is to liberate the outer rim.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Liberate oppression.
But he doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just
Yeah.
pushing buttons
No,
randomly.
No, yeah, yeah.
Like he accidentally destroyed this ship.
Yes.
Think about all the people that he just accidentally killed.
Yeah.
50 points to Gryffindor for sheer dumb luck.
And
Oh, look at
That's
it.
what
now.
it feels. I mean, that's what it feels like.
you're right. And then
sorry.
this whole like they shut down because it shut down is
Yeah.
nonsense. I've always disliked that. I think that if you want to eliminate the rest of the blockade and have like the mother of all those ships there,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Oh yeah.
Like Newt Gunray's personal vessel that has its own like insane army attached.
Don't try it, Anakin. I have the high ground.
Obi-Wan's like, I'm not listening to that advice, but I make this look good.
See, he knows. That's why he knows before or in the end. He's like, I'm just gonna chop him up, and it jumps over my head.
Again, he still
'Cause
looks
I did,
too
I,
clean.
I did
but,
this before.
But that
There
scene
was
would
that
mean a
little
lot
spray
more
of blood,
If he's
like-
got,
Yeah.
if he's got a little more, cuts and bruises and
Right.
everything
Oh,
looks
yeah.
better.
Now if I could only force heal you. Damn it.
And
It doesn't
then,
exist yet.
and then you have Jar Jar Binks. We go back and we see Jar Jar Binks has just saved the queen again.
Yep.
He already showed early in the film he's willing to put his life on the line because he believes that unification is the thing. And now you
Yep.
see two of them. They've been on this adventure together. They captured Newt Gunray, and I want members of the Senate with Palpatine. So he's like, I'm
Yeah.
not lying.
But
We're not blowing smoke here.
Look
Like,
at we.
these are the representatives of the Senate. And so when they
Yep.
look around and they're just like, oh my God, she was telling the truth.
yeah,
This
and
is
but not only that, but they also make mention that Jar Jar's going to be now a representative, and
Yeah.
that's where we see him in the second film as part of Padme's Senate contingent. But
we need a scene too
Yeah.
where Padme passes the torch, where
Yeah,
she's like, "Look,
absolutely.
I'm, there's a new queen. I have senator duties, but there's always two of us. I want it to be you because I'm half of this planet. Your people are the other half. Will you stand with me on
Yeah.
the Senate floor?" And he's just kind of moved, and he's like, "Yes." I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm an
right.
honorable dude, so yeah.
Might as well figure it out.
I'll
Figure it out.
and
yeah.
and with Anakin's lineage, that little quick scene with Palpatine is like, we're going to look onto your career with great interest. Absolutely,
Yeah.
because he knows,
knows.
who he is,
And it makes
Right.
much more sense. It has much more weight to it.
absolutely.
And have that moment where instead of like looking down at him like Anakin, like, or having like looking down, like look down on him and have this sort of like, oh, cute kid moment, have it to where like, have the camera linger there for like
Yeah, yeah.
a little longer
Yeah,
than
yeah.
it should have. And
Yep.
Anakin,
Yep.
he feels like he's like, I know you. I don't know how I know you.
Right.
And that's when
A
Palpatine,
little bit of reflected fire burning in Anakin's eyes.
yeah, just kind of like, huh. And then he's like, we'll watch your career and great. And like, then
Yeah.
that line means
We'll watch your
so
career with
much
great
more because
interest.
eventually we figure out that like, yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I've been looking for you guys forever.
And then we get the burning pyre scene. I don't know why it's on Naboo, but
no.
Shouldn't it go back to wherever Qui-Gon's from? Like,
I was literally going to say exactly that.
Either from his home planet or it should be done back at the Jedi Temple.
right, of course. Yeah. But they're just like, he died on Naboo. I guess we'll do it here.
That's why we're here, right?
We'll just make this convenient.
Right. We're all here.
And this conversation here, it shouldn't be like, no, there's no doubt that there's a Sith. It now has to be, we have to find the Separatist army, but the Sith thing is troubling because there's always two.
Yeah.
So now we need to investigate to see just how far this thing goes. Like, it needs to be a plan of action, not this like, what are we gonna do now? It's like, well, there's no mistake. We gotta figure this out. I hope we can do it. It's no, the Jedi are like, this is the gravest threat to the existence of our order.
Yeah.
And the galaxy. We need to see quiet contemplation. Like, you can keep it quiet, but like intense, to where they both know what's at stake here. And the other thing that they know that they have to mention is like, that kid's a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda even can say like, he's a part of this. I don't know. I don't understand why. And Mace is like, yeah, I get that. And we're gonna watch that really carefully.
This is a really tiny piece of a big
Like,
puzzle.
Yeah.
We need to.
Yep.
Very careful.
We're walking a fine line here, folks.
Exactly. And that sets up so much stakes and tension for the second movie, because you're like,
it makes the scene with Obi-Wan different, because it's not a defiance. It's like, yes, we acknowledge our original position, but with what has happened, what has transpired, we will allow you to train Anakin.
And they should have done this in this movie too. There should have been a moment with Obi-Wan and Anakin where they like have a moment to where like have it to where he steps out for the first time and he's wearing the Padawan garb.
Yeah.
And like Qui-Gon, like
that's actually that should be the last scene of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which essentially kickstarts, like the beginning of the next movie.
Yeah, you're right. I don't mind the celebration so much.
No,
but like, make it much more subdued and have this whole like peace ceremony. Have them both have like, do some Nubian lore to where like they both have like, long ago they both have a certain half of a certain thing, if you want to do it that way. And so when it's unified like that, then
but not only that,
this makes no sense right now.
Anakin should not have gone through the Padawan. Like, what? They just have the clothes ready for him and everything. Like, that should have. This happens, and then they go back to Coruscant, and then they do the whole Jedi thing.
Right. Yeah, he should still be just like little kid Anakin right now, because just because he agreed like one scene ago, it doesn't automatically now he's all of a sudden like.
And so we see the the symbolism.
Yes.
The cutting of the braid, and having the braid and cutting his hair and him putting on the stuff.
So I think this scene, they could have done the celebration thing.
Yep.
Then done the funeral pyre thing back on Coruscant at the Jedi Temple, and thrown all that together at the end. Like that's when they talk about the Sith and the rule of the two, and then they're gonna train Anakin, and then he can come out like that would have made up.
So what happens is we get the funeral scene, and we actually get.
Can I add one thing before you
go
further?
Go ahead.
This scene right here where we see the celebration, we need to have a quiet moment where all the voices drown out. And when Padme and Anakin look at each other now, they've fought alongside each other. They have all this history now. We understand why they have this feeling. The look between them needs to be like, uh-oh, we know about the Jedi. This is going to be a problem. This is going to be, we're happy they're in love, and it should be looks of love and respect, and just kind of like, well, we made it here. It's like, yeah, we're getting together. Yeah, we're going to get together eventually. But there should also be this moment where you rack focus from that to Obi-Wan, who sees that too and is kind of like, uh-huh.
And he's all like, oh, hell no.
Well, he's not sure what to make of it.
He's not sure, He's not sure what to make of it. He's just kind of like...
Because him and Anakin really haven't had, interactions. And we'll get... That gets... I think that's more of a point of confrontation in the second movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where we set the seeds of it.
We set the seeds of it, and not only that, but the time lapse between 1 and 2, they do spend time together.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan does not necessarily approves of the time that they have spent,
or even know about some of the times they spent.
Right.
Yeah.
And we get
they do it on the DL,
and we'll go over it on the second episode. But like, even like, and I honestly think in episode 2, like some of those moments where it's like that we actually see, where it's like, oh, remember when we fought the burp, that we actually see.
Yep.
Padme should be there for a couple of those too.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
maybe not just even for a political thing. Like it could be that it's like one of those where it's just like, they're my boys. I got to help them out. And they're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You're a senator now. And she's like, you're my friends. Like,
Well,
this is what we do. Jar Jar's
piggybacking,
here too. And like, what are you doing here? It's like,
I want to piggyback off of what
We're-
you said about
here.
them having like their little moment at the end of the movie here, where it's like, oh, instead of doing this big giant celebration thing, which mind
Yeah.
you, like countless people just died.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, cool. It
Should
ended.
be a little
It should
more
be like
solemn.
I think it would have been
Like
better
a-
if
like a
they
New
had like a
Orleans
little
wake?
like a little banquet. Like they were having like a banquet celebration inside the temple. They're all at like a big long table.
yeah.
You've got, Bosnios on one side and the queen on the other side, and they're like, treating back and forth. And then you have like this little bit more intimate kind of setting where they're talking about like, oh yeah, we just had all these losses, but it's cool that we won. Everybody's
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And then you can have that thing with like Anakin and Padme like sitting next to each other at the table where
That's
they're just
good.
like, or
That's
maybe
good.
they're like, he like grabs her hand or something, and they're like, oh, and then Obi-Wan's
I'm-
like,
Or it's like the
That's so
awkward,
nice.
or they
Oh.
reach for like the same piece of food
Oh,
or something.
my monster. And they're like,
and they
"Just touch
accidentally,
hands."
yeah. And
Oh
you
my
see
God.
that spark of this is not just a friendship and respect. This might be something more than just that.
right, and
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they might not even know what it is,
Right,
But,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
exactly.
something else.
Yep.
That's what. Oh, first of all, that's so good. Like it should be like we get, and like, and you get more Nubian culture.
Mhm.
Like you get to see how the Gungan respect their dead, and that part of the ceremony is incorporated into this thing.
Yep.
And then you have like the Nubians, the way like they do like a wake.
Yep.
Like where they celebrate life, very similar to the Gungans. The Gungans, they have the really heavy moment in the beginning, and then they go into it and they celebrate, and then the night festivities go on. But like, yeah, and then so when Anakin and Padme have that moment where they're like looking at each other or whatever, that's why I want I'd love to see the voices drown out a little bit, and you just hear John Williams' score creeping in.
Yep.
And between that, it needs to feel like the Force is observing this moment.
Yeah.
Like the Force is watching these two, where it's like, ooh, this is a new development.
Are
In
the
Force.
midichlorians watching me?
And then we get the pyre, funeral pyre.
Yep.
Yeah, we
and
go
then-
back to Coruscant.
Yeah, and then Yoda and Mace Windu have that conversation, and it's not only just the Sith, but we're gonna look into how are the Separatists and the Trade Federation, how are they connected?
Yes.
And so we go through that. They talk to Obi-Wan, and then we have the montage of Anakin becoming a Padawan for the first time, and then the ending is Obi-Wan and Anakin looking out of the Coruscant skyline,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah, like out on a balcony or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
and they're
yeah,
just standing there, and
This
it's like
is the start. This is the start
sunset
of their
Yes.
journey as
Yeah.
master and apprentice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and maybe Obi-Wan gives him a little lightsaber or something. Like,
Oh yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like even something of Qui-Gon's. Like
Yeah.
Ooh,
he gives him something of
yeah,
Qui-Gon's,
yeah.
where it's like, I loved him too.
Yeah.
Like
here's
trust me,
Qui-Gon's heart.
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
like I'm not sure about you. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how this is gonna work out, but there's one thing I do know. You and I both loved him very
Right.
much. And he
Right.
saw something in you. I see where he's coming from. I see it too. I have my reservations, but I made a promise.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep this going. But to have him give something of Qui-Gon's,
Yeah.
that would, and then that's part one of what is the beginning of their unification, like this brotherly bond.
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that moment where Anakin's kind of like, okay, maybe you're not such a dick after all. Like you're okay, and Qui-Gon's just like,
brother to me.
don't push your luck,
Yeah.
like that big brother thing. Like,
Yeah.
all right, just
Yeah,
don't,
yeah,
just
yeah,
don't tell
yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
Just don't make too big a deal, okay, please. And then, dun 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 dun. Dun.
Yeah.
Barrel.
And then we'll
Roll
go
credits, Rob
yeah,
Coleman.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who was subsequently fired because he spoke in no word to George. George, this doesn't make sense. Get him out of here. Get him. Give me
Who
a
wrote
Coke.
this movie?
Yeah, give me a Coke Zero.
We don't need him.
Well, that's our movie.
Yeah.
That is yes.
You know, we almost should have just watched it and commented as we went, because we're into 2.5 hours of.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think we went longer than the actual
I
movie,
think we did.
Yeah.
which I guess
But,
kind of makes sense.
But yeah, so yeah, it's been a while. We clearly had our thoughts and feelings. I think our version of episode 1, I think it does a lot of
Yep.
what
It's
should
gonna be
have
it's gonna
happened
be a
in
little
the first place.
It's gonna be a little longer, but it's gonna feel more fluid. And
Yes,
the scenes are gonna mean more than just
and you're laying the
It feels like
groundwork.
there's too many throwaway scenes.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Throwaway scenes and we're not going to use as much CG.
No.
We're gonna
Some more practical effects for sure.
Oh, yeah.
like the newer trilogy, there's a lot of practical stuff.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah. It just makes things so much more grounded.
Mm-hmm. Well, for all of you out there that just watched episode 1 of The Phantom Menace, trust me, we feel the same as you do. That's why we did this review and made our changes as we went. We're going to continue the series. We're going to watch The Abomination is what we call it anyway. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
And even the title's getting changed. So
Yeah, we're changing the title as well because
there's gonna be so many changes.
oh, that's a total teardown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, again, Clone Wars stuff way better. Like, we need
Absolutely.
more Clone Wars stuff
We'll
in
be
Attack of the
incorporating
Clones.
a lot of the
Oh,
Clone
yeah.
Wars TV series into the
Yeah.
movie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
There's our movie right there.
There's our movie.
Yeah.
And there's a fan favorite of all of ours that is in our version of Attack of the Clones from the very beginning.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Spoilers ahead. She's one of the best characters in all Star Wars.
Here's a great teaser for everybody.
Well, that's it, right? We're done.
Yes.
We are out.
That's it.
Thank you until next time.
Yeah, if you managed to make it to the end of this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and all
Please
that
do.
fun YouTube stuff.
Thank you.
And if we do release an audio version of this, I apologize because you're not going to be able to see all the cool stuff we were talking about.
Exactly.
But you hear a lot of the dog. So.
There's a lot
of the dog.
There's a lot of the dog.
Next time
Yeah.
we're just going to put a chair up here and she can just sit with us and have
Yeah.
her own
No,
microphone.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all she wants.
Pretty
With
much.
that, I am Mike.
I'm Justin.
I'm Captain.
And this has been Cosmic Vagabonds episode Star Wars.
Yes.
Where's my mouse? I think my computer. Where is it? Oh, the Bluetooth disconnected. We out.
Peace.